Yeah.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Ricard Shiar, the Gathering of Christ Church live. We had a little technical issue, but of course we're jumping right in with our weekly broadcast. We're only going to be here about 2 hours today. All praises be the Most High, Ahaya Bahashim Yeshaya Warawak. I'm Elder Ricard Shiar, along with Shapat. Shapat usually joins me weekly with the the Academy, bringing in the news from week to week. The water for being here. And I'm sure I have Lawyer on here with me. Lawyer, you with me? I know you got to be with me somewhere. Lawyer, you there?
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Shalom. Okay, we're good to go. Let me jump right in. We got about 2 hours and 17 minutes for this broadcast. And of course, this is the most timely broadcast, a conversation. And I want to say shalom to all my brothers and sisters there, out there on YouTube as well as on Blog Talk. Shalom to all of you. Now jumping right in. How you doing, family? You all are saying hello. All right, a timely discussion this evening. Okay, jumping right in. The topic of our discussion today, and a matter of fact, we were speaking a few hours. I was speaking with Elder Lawyer and Shapat while I was making a few phone calls on the road, and I thought that we should have a conversation, or the Most High will like his people, the people of the Bible, to have this conversation today. Okay, let me zone in a little bit here. That's better. You can just come on in a little bit with me, Shapat. Yeah, just come in just a little bit with me. All right, that's better. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's better. That's way better. Especially coming in on what we call the holiday season, where the world is more so focusing on the children. I wanted to take a different spin with this. Instead of talking about the holidays, we have enough time to speak about that. If you want to chime in and talk about that, you're more than welcome to. We have all the way up to Saturnalia to tackle Christmas. So,
Right.
Anyway, our topic of discussion this evening, brothers and sisters, is the children sin produces. Now, check out the angle where we're going at here. I need y'all to really focus. Why? Because, brothers and sisters, we're going to need your help with this one. The children sin produces. Now, question for all of us. What's wrong with the world? A better question. What's wrong with us? Doesn't it seem that the world is gone to hell with no hope for our next generation? Doesn't it seem that way? Our children are supposed to be the future. But the children we are producing are even worse than generations past. But the question is, can we really blame our children? The youth are in fact a product of the dysfunction allowed by us. Now, let me repeat that. Our youth are in fact a product of dysfunction allowed by us within our own homes. Things we are ashamed of, actually, to speak about, but yet allow. You know how it is. You know, when we out in front, we give this facade as if everything is fine, but yet there's shameful things we allow to operate in the dark. Listen to this here. Well, tonight we're going to speak openly, if the Most High permit, and freely on the shame we cover up, which is affecting and infecting our children. And we're going to do this in an attempt to save some of our next generation. We'll also seek the word of God ultimately tonight for solutions. Okay? Now, throughout the generations, this is what we've excused amongst our communities. Sinners, that means people who purposely break the law of God or have no belief system at all. Right? We've excused sinners, and here's some examples of those sinners. Cheaters, liars, drunks, molesters, drug dealers, witches, sorcerers, whoremongers, thieves, murderers, homosexuals. And we have unintentionally, now I'm going to put in the word unintentionally. We have unintentionally allowed these nation destroyers to have the influence over examples within our communities who are positive or which are positive. It's as if we've downplayed or underestimated the influence on the outside of parenting. Well, I'm a good person. I know the person I'm with, my husband and wife, we're good people. We're raising our children right. You understand? My child is going to be a good person or whatever the case is. And usually your child is a product of his upbringing when it's good. Train up a child the way it should go, and when that child is of age, they shall not depart from it. Even if they depart, they'll find a way back, right? But maybe we are underestimating the influences on the outside of us. The things we allow outside of our door. Now, let's make this clear. We're going to have a discussion today. Now, this is not about blaming people, because a lot of these sins that are perpetuated, a lot of us have been saved from the same darkness and sins we are actually discussing today. Right? So it's not about blaming, but no longer can we turn a face or a blind eye to what's affecting us and destroying our children. So let me make this clear. I knew as soon as I go into it. Let me make this clear. Now, I know by discussing this, if any of us fit the descriptions of the things that are destroying our people, immediately that particular person is going to become offended or try to deflect from themselves or try to attack as a result of their sins, which are destroying our community. Being that those sins are being magnified, they may try to attack, being offended. Well, that's an issue in itself, by itself. The fact that we can't even discuss what's destroying our children openly without open attack from those who are destroying us. That's an issue in itself. So I'm going to repeat these. Cheaters, liars, drunks, molesters, drug dealers, witches, sorcerers, whoremongers, thieves, murderers, homosexual, con men. And I'm going to say it again. We have unintentionally allowed these nation destroyers to have the influence over our children and communities. Now, it's not to blame, but this discussion tonight, and we need this to permeate throughout the earth if it be the Lord's will, is to shine a light on the darkness which exists every day. Shine a light on what our children have to deal with. The peer pressure that's actually leading them downward towards hell. Okay? We have to shine a light on it this evening, in hope that our parents can now become accountable and to pass down not just knowledge, but accountability to our children. How can this be done? Well, it first happens with discussing it, right? Of course, we know what the Most High say. Now, this world would like to call what's going on dysfunction. That's why I use the word, right? But by calling it dysfunction, we actually take away from what the Lord labels in the Bible a curse. Because it's one thing if a dysfunction usually is if, okay, I'm dealing with an issue and it only affects me and it doesn't pass on from one generation to the next. That's a dysfunction. That's just a problem with me. Right? But if this is passed on from generation to generation, it's something beyond that particular person. It becomes a curse. It becomes a spiritual phenomenon, a negative spiritual phenomenon that affects us perpetually. So let's ask a question now, based on everything that I'm saying here. How can we break our generational dysfunctions? Okay. The children sin produces. How can we break our generational dysfunctions? Right? Now, Lori, I'm going to let you come in again in a moment. I got a few Bible scriptures I want to go to. I see you all on YouTube. I see you all. I know a lot of you are in. I'm going to place the phone number up here so everyone can actually call in. Real quick, the phone number before you is 515-605-9327 if you would like to chime in. 515-605-9327. Now, let me speak first with personally what I witnessed growing up. Right? What I witnessed growing up is that blood is thicker than water. And some things have to be excused. Or just to keep our, I would say, existence. Just to keep our existence, we allowed some things to happen. Let me give you an example. I know a lot of people that I grew up with were drug dealers, right? From one vantage point, because I grew up with them, played basketball with them, played football with them, went to school with them, they were always just that person. They were just cool. Cool. Hey, cool. I know this guy got the nickel bag. This guy, he's into this or that. Or even within your own home, you may have brothers and sisters who have drugs, hid drugs in the house. The parents don't know the drugs in the house, but everyone else, all the children know. Someone sneaking downstairs in the cellar, passing weed and all that. Remember those days? Or the drug dealer right next door to you that's damaging the whole community. You play basketball with or whatever. Everyone buying a nickel bag. Everyone know he's a drug dealer. Right? You may have a close family member that's loose all the time, where you have a guy, he's running around dealing with all the young women in the neighborhood, right? You have a young girl, for whatever reason, she's fast, and everyone can point that out. And I noticed that a lot of comedians today, they sensationalize, they get rich sensationalizing the dysfunctions within our communities. And why are they celebrated? Because they're able to talk about what have happened to them without shame. And usually what they say, all of us can relate to. I'm going to show you where this is going, folks. When comedians get on stage and start talking about that weird uncle, And everyone start laughing. Who have allowed this weird uncle to operate? And how many children, how many of our families have that weird uncle destroyed? Con men. They've even made their way to YouTube now. They've found internet platforms. The same people destroying us on the street corner hustlers have found YouTube pages. The same people that you know have internally always destroyed us. The drug dealers, killers, cutthroats, and all that have made their way to YouTube. The things we've excused. Right? Where am I going with this, brothers and sisters? It's about time we talk about this phenomenon. It's about time we discuss the fact that we are a cursed people. Okay? And that there's a serious dysfunction that can only be resolved through understanding that that this is a curse of biblical proportions put on us by God. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. And I'm not blaming God. Let's make this clear. Because what? From each generation, the Most High have given us the word to weigh right from wrong. And we've decided to stick in the spirit of the curse, thereby cursing our children. By allowing cons to operate, by sensationalizing the things that have always destroyed us. Okay? And this is why the other nations view us such. How can we be so incinerated when it comes to other races of people doing something against us, when they're viewing every day what we allow amongst each other? They're perplexed looking at us like, you get enraged when we do something, but you are allowing worse amongst your own people. How dare you come and try to march about something? So I say, you know what? There have to be a breakthrough here. There must be a breakthrough because everything we've tried as a people hasn't worked. It's a shame what our children have to experience and then grown after being abused psychologically, molested, or whatever, otherwise, physically and otherwise, and have to live their life in the darkness. And 20, 30 years, it takes them 20 to 30 years for them to actually get up the courage to confess what happened to them as children. Things that were allowed by parents. It's a shame. When we should be on the forefront of this, facing the evil against us outright. So that we don't have to 10, 20 years from now and ask our child, why didn't you come to me? You could have talked to me. While the same person out in the street or otherwise was damaging your child, it wasn't just your children. They were damaging the whole neighborhood. It wasn't just that child they were hurting. And we allow it. Just so that we can walk with this facade as if everything is okay. The children sin produce. And I'm going to tell you, man, the wisdom of the wicked is way wiser than the pure, brothers and sisters. The scriptures tell you this. The wicked lie in wait for our inconsistencies. I'm going to tell you right now, the times our parents may go out. Remember, the parents will go out, have a good time. Everyone should be able to have a good time. But look at the people we trust to watch our children. What's going on with our children? I know I'm digressing. Believe it or not, everything we're seeing, little gay boys running around with other boys, girls running around, changing changing their natural affection. Everyone is looking at the generation and are not pointing to the parents who made them. And above all, we're not relating this to anything spiritual. We're not relating this to the curse or seeking resolve. And you know what? Because of this, the wicked is overrunning the righteous. We can't wait for the white man to save us through this. We can't wait for no other nation to do anything. God is looking for his people, we as a people, to finally stand up for our children against all evil. That's our responsibility as parents, not just from a nation side, okay, from a parental side. We're going to show you, brothers and sisters, this evening, the children sin produces. The children that sin produces. And we're going to show you how we have slowly been acclimated into accepting our own demise. Ticking time bombs, spiritual ticking demonic time bombs living amongst us. We've sensationalized it. We celebrate all that's wrong with us. I took a few hours this morning looking at a few videos, just dealing with the product of what's happening with our people and the fact that no one is given any true understanding of how to get out of it. That even our darkness and us searching for light is being exploited by the same people who have done this to us. The people we've allowed to destroy us are the people in position to guide us. And I'm like, Lord, only you can save it. Only you can save our people from this. All the victimizers have become the authority, have become the psychiatrists, have become the resolve or the teachers or the outlet for healing for the same people they've damaged. But let's get the mindset, right? Just pulling this around real quick. Hey, Shakam. Okay, I'll contact you, Shakam. I'll contact you. Let's think about it for a moment real quick. Let's get the mindset of our people, first of all. And we're going to deal with it not just from an Israelite standpoint, but from a world perspective. But I would be amiss if I didn't mention the fact that the blacks and the poors who are suffering in the ghettos all around the earth are the children of Israel according to the Bible. So I would need to deal with it from that perspective first, so that we can actually get a handle on the mindset. The mindset that most people may call dysfunctional. Okay. Now let me give you some examples real quick, if I may. Some of the things that we have allowed in our neighborhoods, right? I think I have a few pictures here, right? Let me just set this up real quick in order. Right? Now I know this may seem funny to some, right? How many of us laugh at Pookie from New York, from New Jack City? But you know what? Pookie was an example of real life people. Okay? People that we've grown up with, who we loved. Can we blame the white man for Pookie? How many of our brothers and sisters and cousins and close relatives we know have fallen through drugs? But this was sensationalized through the movie New Jack City. Nino Brown intimidating the neighborhood. Man, growing up, all the women loved Nino Brown. giving out turkeys to the poor. Matter of fact, making employment for the underprivileged blacks. Some more. The Players Club. This is what sensationalized or brought stripping, which is no different than whoremongering as well as prostitution, glorified prostitution, using our sisters as props. Right? And guess what? Growing up, I seen all these movies growing up. Right? Boys in the Hood. Boys in the Hood. People we grew up with. And we all had them. Brothers that you know, if you say the wrong thing, they'll put a bullet in you. We all knew brothers. I knew 2-3 cats growing up. Where you're like, listen, you don't even say nothing to the guy, because what'll happen is somebody be found in the alley, in the back alley, and everyone to know who did it and won't say anything. The things we allow. Now, growing up, we didn't initially see this, but now that I look back at it, guess what? This was more prevalent than I knew as a child. I knew that there was women dressed like men and operating like men, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Because why? At that time, as a child, I only knew that people are produced through man and woman. I was one of the fortunate to be raised with my father and mother, but used to see these weird looking women dressed like men sneaking around with little girls. This has always existed in our communities. Why? And if someone can give us an answer for this, I'm open for it. We're open to discuss this, because this always existed where I lived. Now, this particular guy here is saying that, now, this is a weird situation going on here. If I can blow him up here. He's already blown up pretty much. But this guy is an openly gay guy, homosexual, who says that he's behind the gay people, but the gay people got to straighten out a few things. He has a problem, and that gay people have to straighten themselves out. He agreed with homosexuality, but there's a lot of things gay people need to straighten out. And he has a YouTube page breaking down how he supports gay people, but gay people need to really get it together, not discontinue their perversions, but to get it together on other levels, if you want to ever see that. But that guy with the green Speedos on, buffed, was a homosexual. They always existed. These men who were always dealing with other men. They weren't as flamboyant when I was growing up as today, but they existed. The question is, why do we allow it? Why? I want to talk about this, because why? The children of this world are wiser than the children of light, folks. These people predatorize. Okay? And on top of predatorizing, focus on turning the good guy or girl. Okay? They have a specific purpose in our communities to focus on who they would call the goody two-shoes. We have no idea that they are predatorizing within our neighborhoods, that they are seeking us out to destroy us. We have no idea the spirit in these people. Now, we're going to show you some more products with a few videos in a couple of moments, but I see some brothers and sisters who just came in, and this is one of our more serious conversations. The children sin produce. Can we expect our children to be any less than what we're seeing right now based on the examples presented before them? And how long do you think the Most High is going to allow this to last? Will there be another generation after these children? Can you see the future beyond this next generation? What's wrong with us excusing and perpetuating dysfunction? Now, I want to read something real quick, but before I go there, Shapad, anything you need to say? If you want to say something, it's wide open. And then after that, we have lawyer. Y'all can say what y'all want to say, and then we can go in.
I think I'm good right now. Just listening.
All right, lawyer, what you got?
Just one scripture before you go in. I know we read this scripture almost every week with every broadcast we bring forward, but I think tonight it's going to ring true based on the content or the context of tonight's discussion. It says here in Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children." So yes, as we are mentioning, as we've been bringing out, our children have been forsaken. Our children have been forgotten. And the main reason why our children have been forgotten by the Most High is because we're forsaken the law of our God. I'm going to leave it there, Elder. I know there's a few things you want to go into, and I'll come in off the back end of the scripture you bring forward.
Okay. Well, before I bring that forward, just for the sake of edification, because I said I wanted to hear what other brothers and sisters had to say concerning this particular topic. And our topic today, the children sin produces. And I see some opinions that I think I need to put out there. Sister Alana, okay, on YouTube here. Shalom, sister. She says, because people are afraid. Why do we allow these sinners to continue to destroy and focus on destroying our children? Why is it allowed? She said, Sister Alana, because people are afraid to speak up and have a bold, confident spirit of courage. People pacify stuff, okay?
Keep the peace.
Just to keep the peace. That means we live and let live, right? But the problem is the perpetrators aren't living and letting live.
Right.
The perpetrators are perpetrating. Okay? You have to realize what can you allow? Why do you think the Most High gave us laws, statutes, and commandments and civil laws concerning the spirits or demons that get in people who can overrun or destroy a country? He had to put rules in place because some people you can't live and let live. Because if they have a death angel on you and you allow them to continue, murder will abound. You can't allow, I don't care how cute someone may be to you or how close you were and you grew up with a person. If you allow a murderer to operate unchecked within your community, hey, don't get surprised when someone close to you comes up dead. And we can apply that to every sin. Someone say, well, what about cheaters? You've missed our initial dialogue because cheaters was one of the main examples that was given. The fact that there's no accountability for anything. How do we place accountability out there for our children? They have to see an example. Our children are not going to stand up against the evil until they see parents stand up. Right?
I want to add something real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to add something real quick to this saying, keep the peace.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of you who don't know the actual meaning of the word shalom, you know, we all want to say shalom, right? Or shalom. When you actually look at it, and you'll learn this when you join the academy, you'll be able to break down Hebrew words.
Yeah.
Right? Hebrew is pictorial, right?
Yeah.
Similar to the hieroglyphs in Egypt, where it's pictures which make up the words, right? So, peace, you know, keep the peace. It's because of not wanting to rock the boat and all this type of stuff, to not speak up and be courageous and all this other stuff, right?
Go on.
Well, actually, like what Elder's alluding to about this responsibility that really is with all of us, is not on the outside of us, and these are the examples for our children, seeing adults and people and parents take responsibility for their actions. Back to this peace thing, you know, keep the peace. Well, actually, peace, when you look at the Hebrew word shalom, peace be with you, shalom, right? It actually, when you look at it, when you break it down, it's actually this: destroy the authority that establishes chaos. Now, how can you, for the sake of keeping the peace, how can you, you know, just stay away, wither away, and not be courageous, not be bold to speak up in certain situations, using wisdom, mind you, right? How can you, you know, move away from that and using the cloak of, I just want to keep the peace? True peace is the opposite of that. I just wanted to put that piece out there.
Yeah. The whole thing is, brothers and sisters, we can't have peace with darkness. The reality is we've allowed darkness to overrun us. Okay? If this Bible is taught correctly, if we were in the churches teaching this Bible correctly, okay, before we can actually bring forth any level of resolve in our communities, we have to first deal with the enemies against light first. There's no sense in just sitting there between our four walls talking about heaven and all these things, and then opening up the door and letting our people loose to the vultures.
Right.
You know what's out there, Pastor. The conversation is supposed to be, listen, it's good about this kingdom and all that, but our people are dying now. Heaven is not outside these pews and outside these doors. We have to now let everyone be aware of sin and what sin is and how it has totally eroded our communities. And now we have to face it. It's no longer a point in which we can actually ignore the darkness we've allowed. It's overrunning all that's good, folks. It's unfair to the righteous or to the pure or those who believe, because why? The more pure you are, the more impressionable you are. The more you believe in God, the more someone out there is taking your kindness for weakness and looking at you as what? A sucker. Someone they can easily get over on or destroy, because what? You are a trusting spirit. And there's no one out there defending or helping this trusting spirit. So we you know, let me read this real quick. I'm going to read this real quick. Because some of the examples I've shown you, right, is actually pinpointing just a few of the things that operate in the dark. It's the darkness of our community that's really running our communities. It says right here.
You want me to read it?
Yeah. Let's read 1 John 1 and 5. Read that for me, Shapat.
1 John chapter 1 and verse 5.
Yes.
This then is the message which we have heard of him
Come on.
and declare unto you, that the Most High is light.
The Most High is light, right? Righteousness, light. Read.
And in him is no darkness at all.
There's no darkness at all. There's no deep, dark secrets of sin with the Most High or those who are in him.
Or keep the peace.
Exactly. The Most High is coming for judgment. He's coming to shine a light on the darkness, to put it under his feet once and for all and destroy it out of existence. And we, as the righteous, or those that claim to follow the Bible, should have the same mind as our Father. Mm-hmm. See? Read.
Verse 6. If we say that we have fellowship with him.
If we say we're down with the Most High. Read.
And walk in darkness.
But yet we walk in darkness.
We lie.
We are liars. We lie to ourselves.
And do not the truth.
And do not the truth.
But,
now mind you, brothers and sisters, we've allowed the darkness to become the norm amongst us. It was one time people walking in sin kept sin or the darkness separate from us. It was called keep it in the closet, right? There's a reason why it was in the closet. Okay? And I'm not just speaking of homosexuality. Usually all things evil is done in the dark, so it can manifest. Because if anyone seen their initial intentions, they would have been stopped at the door. So normally, someone doing evil, whatever the evil is, it starts in secret. See? It starts in secret. The examples I can have, if parents go out and think this person that's close to you, your relative, can watch your children, and you don't know what type of perversions that are on that man or woman's mind, and why now that child is being watched by someone you trust, that child is what? That child is being taken advantage of in more ways than a parent can actually imagine. You don't even want to put it in your mind, the thoughts of some of these perverts and evildoers out here. But they'll do it in the dark and become experts at it. They're experts at darkness and excusing their wickedness also. Experts. Read on.
But if we walk in the light.
But if we walk in the light, in the truth, and the light is also what? Under the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, holding everyone accountable to the laws and the principles given by the Most High God. See, therefore, there's no middle area. There's no gray area there. It's either right or wrong. And we must determine what's right or wrong amongst us first, folks. In order to set accountability, we must all have a broad definition that we understand together concerning right or wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's what the next verse says.
Yeah, read.
But
if
we walk in the light.
If we walk in the light.
As he is in the light.
As the Most High is in the light.
We have fellowship one with another.
We can now have fellowship one with another. The problem is we have fellowship with darkness and excuse their darkness because why? They're family. Blood is thicker than water. I grew up with this person. I went to school with this person. And you know the evil this person has continually perpetrated against you, us, our community, all that's right. Read on.
And the blood of Yeshua Christ, his son, cleanseth us from all sin.
He cleansed us from all sin. So that's not Christ coming to say, okay, I died on the cross for your sins, so now you are absolved. That's that crap they're teaching in church. That's not what this is saying. This is saying you have now come to terms with the darkness in you. And now have accepted Christ's blood to walk in newness of spirit and not after that dark soul that have been destroying others in the past. See? That's what it means, accepting Christ's blood. You have accepted that you were in darkness. You were the sinner. You were the cheater. You were the drug dealer. You were the whoremonger. And that by accepting this blood, that's an oath with the Most High going forward, that instead of hurting the community, you're now an asset. You're going to help those that are under sin. So Christ's blood is not an excuse to sin or to continue in sin. It makes it where we can walk without thinking of our past darkness. Okay. Read on.
Verse 8, 1 John 1 and 8. If we say that we have no sin.
But if we say we have no sin, that's right, we walking around in our neighborhoods as if nothing's wrong. A war-torn place and be like, listen, let's live and let live.
Or
I hear everyone running around in a totally destitute state talking about everything is fine.
Or this one. It's our culture.
Yeah, it's, it's just, that's just the way it is. Or, yeah, the white man made it this way.
That's the hood. It's the hood.
And, it's always been this way. Come on.
If we say that we have no sin.
If we say we have no sin,
we deceive ourselves.
We deceive ourselves. So the first part of healing our nation is to admit and point out the things that are wrong amongst us. And say, well, this does exist. This is wrong. That we can no longer tolerate this. Okay. We got to agree what cannot be tolerated amongst us going forward and stand on it. It's like the evil, the wicked, the darkness can all unite against what's right. So that we can't say nothing at all against them. But they have a voice. They can march. They can get organizations together. They can do all these things. But the righteous can't stand against what's destroying us internally. What's wrong with this picture? Come on.
And the truth is not in us.
And the truth is not in us. Let me read one more thing. I'm going to give an example real quick. Let me give an example. Elder Lawyer, you with me?
Yes, sir. I'm still with you.
Okay. Right now I'm at Deuteronomy 32. Can you grab that for me, Elder Lawyer?
All right. Deuteronomy 32.
Let's start at the why we're in this condition, right? I need you to start at 32 and 17 when it speaks of the generational curse, where this generational curse began. Because hopefully, if we can now as a people identify where we began to go wrong, as a result of it, we can now become accountable and bring forth biblical solutions. Okay, that's why I want to go to the Bible. And that's why it's important to know that we're the children of Israel. When people claim, well, what difference does it make? Well, hey, it makes a difference, because if I can point to what got me under the curse, I can now look to find my way through it, or above, or even out of this curse. See? So when people claim that it doesn't matter who you are, that's utterly ridiculous. Especially a people that are suffering a generational curse of biblical proportion. Read the 17th verse for me, Elder Lawyer.
Yeah. Yes, sir. If you don't mind, I'll start off a few verses at verse 15.
Yes.
Deuteronomy 32, verse 15. But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation.
Look at that.
They provoked him.
It says we began to wax fat, get comfortable. And through that comfortability, we began to reject the God who made us so great. Read.
Verse 16. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger.
We started operating and worshiping strange gods, like the gods of the Arabs, the gods of the East Indians, the Canaanite god, the original god that the white man is served, who he hides every day, the God he worshiped, the Canaanite God. And his name is Yahweh, folks. We began to serve those gods instead of the God who made us. Ahia is his name. Read.
Verse 17. They sacrificed unto devils, not to the Most High.
It says they sacrificed to devils. Read. Read it.
Yes, sir. Verse 17. They sacrificed unto devils, not to the Most High, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that newly came up, who your fathers feared not.
We started worshiping new gods who our forefathers knew not. We began to deal with all different types of ideologies and religions. Why do you think in our neighborhood, outside of every other neighborhood that you may view today or look at today, there's a church on every corner with a different denomination, a different doctrine, and there's Muslim churches, New Age places, multicultural places? You can tell that we must be these people who are confused concerning one God. If there's only one God amongst black people in the communities, if we're going to use blacks as an example, there should be only one black church in each neighborhood where black people live. Just like when you go into the suburbs, there's not a billion churches. There's one white church everyone goes to, a Presbyterian church or whatever. We must be these people. If we're not in this, we're doving in witchcraft, astrology. We're always doving into something as if all these different vices has ever helped us. We can't show no examples where all these things we're doving into have actually helped our condition or plight as a people. Read.
Verse number 18. Of the rock that begot thee, thou art unmindful.
Come on.
And hast forgotten the Most High that formed thee.
We forgot our God, folks. Read.
Verse 19. And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters.
Of his what?
Because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters.
The provoking of his sons and daughters. Brothers and sisters, it wasn't enough that the men and women and the grown folk was doing it. We were teaching the evil to our children, folks. It's the same thing. And even growing up and seeing what we allowed, even when the children knew what was wrong, we would say something about our parents. Look, the grown folks, we would say, Mom, you can't do that, or Daddy. They would want to slap you in the mouth. This is grown folk conversation because the child is actually checking the parents. The child is saying you shouldn't be saying that or doing that. Listen, and then the parent want to slap the child. And then the child will be like, well, maybe what my parent is doing is right. Maybe it's okay. So I notice we point to the children saying, well, children, there is no respect anymore and all that. But where have they learned that? Where did they get that from? Where did they learn it at? The parents. Read on, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse number 19 or verse number 20. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be.
I will hide my face from them and then see where their end shall be. Read.
For they are a very froward generation.
Now, hold up, Elder Lawyer. I'm going to look at that word froward generation. What verse are you at? Froward, right?
Yes, sir. Verse 20.
Now, I want to break this down to its most minute level because this word, perverse, the word forward, if you don't, it actually identifies the spirit which perpetually curses our people. When you look at that word forward, in the Hebrew, it translates to perverse. I need you to put perverse on the screen so that they can see it. He says we are a froward people, right? Hold on. Let me get it here. One moment here.
Click on it.
One moment here. All right, it should pop right up, right? There. Now, yeah, slide it over so they can see perverse. Yeah, thwada. Yeah. Perverse. Now, check out this definition for the word perverse, which means the Most High says, I'm going to curse you because this is how you are as a people, children of Israel, God's people. It says perverse, which is the word froward comes from. Perverse. Showing a deliberate and obstinate desire to behave in a way that's unreasonable or unacceptable, often in spite of the consequences. You're going to be unreasonable, doing things that's unacceptable, and don't care the consequences for it. Awkward, contrary, being difficult, unreasonable, uncooperative, unhelpful, obstructive, disobliging. That means you don't oblige. You'll try to get smart or disrespect for no reason at all. Stubborn, obstinate, obdurate, mullish, pig-headed, bull-headed. But the key word here is irrational. Showing a deliberate or obstinate desire to behave in a way that's unreasonable or acceptable, often in spite of the consequences.
Check out this one. Contrary to the accepted or expected standard or
contrary to the accepted or expected standard or practice. So that means the Most High punished us for purposely becoming contrary to what's acceptable. Shapat and I went into a Jamaican store to get some food last weekend, right? So that we can enjoy after the Sabbath. Now, I take pride in actually supporting our people and their businesses. You know, even though, of course, we're living in a system in which you cannot support everyone else because the system is built, the enterprise is built from everyone else. But all in all, I take a special pride in going in and actually supporting black businesses. Let me tell you, I went into this Jamaican store and a sister was at the counter. And it was one of the most indignant experience I received from someone I was actually patronizing or giving my money to. But yet, I didn't let it get under my skin. I didn't let it affect me negatively. I smiled, and at the end of it, I just gave my money anyway. But the product that she was going to give us, that she could have reached 2 feet over to give us, she didn't want to trouble herself with that. So I actually let her have the money, and I walked out of the store. Didn't say anything. You can still have the money. I want to support you. But the only explanation you have for this, brothers and sisters, that I have for this, is a curse. I'm actually paying your rent. When I'm paying or patronizing you, I'm paying. That money you're getting paid by your job is not coming from your boss. It's coming from those that are patronizing the business. Your boss is just divvying out the money. But it's the example that I'm just reading. And you know what? I don't have nothing against the sister but you know what? That's behavior that I've come used to. I'm used to exhibiting or having that experience with my people. I've always had that experience. And the only answer to that is what I'm reading out of this Bible. Accursed people, which will do certain things that they know is wrong without caring about the consequences. Look at what's going on in our communities and tell me that's not us. Look at the product or the consequences of our actions, which is what? Our abode, where we live. Finish reading what you have, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 21. In fact, the rest of verse 20, it says, for they are a very forward generation.
They are a very forward generation.
Children in whom is no faith. Verse 21. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not the Most High.
Come on.
They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation.
So he says, Israel, if you put up a no God for me and follow these other nations' gods and turn your back on me, well, I'm going to put up a no people for you. You're supposed to be the example of a holy, faithful people. You're supposed to be the example of Abraham, you so-called black people, because we are the children of Israel. You are my standard. You are my standard. At some point, brothers and sisters, we have to get that back. We have to get that back. It belongs to us, a standard. It's one thing to say, well, this is the way we are. But there should be some level of there should be aspirations amongst us as a people to grasp on and hold and get and grab and get that standard back. The Most High haven't forsaken us. He's given us opportunity to actually receive all that's promised. But I digress. Right? He says we are a forward people. That's perverse. When we get bullheaded and stubborn, no one can tell us anything. And you know what? That's to a fault. It's to a fault. So it comes a time in which we have to examine ourselves, clean ourselves up, and say, you know what? Regardless of what we did in the past, we're going to set a standard as a people now. There's certain things that will not be allowed for the sake of my children. Our children are watching. For those who've just come in, the children sin produce. What's wrong with the world? A better question, what is wrong with us? Doesn't it seem that the world is going to hell with no hope for the next generation? Our children are supposed to be our future, but the children produced are even worse than generations past. But can we really blame our children? The youth are in fact a product of the dysfunction allowed by us within our own homes. Things we are ashamed to speak about, but yet allow. Tonight we're speaking openly and freely on the shame we cover up, which is affecting, a better word, infecting our children. And we're going to talk about this in an attempt to save some of them. We're seeking the word of God for solutions and understand that throughout generations, we've excused sinners. We must admit this. It has nothing to do with the white man. The white man is going to do what we allow. He's going to always bring drugs in as long as we allow it to be sold amongst us. He's going to always build prisons and grandize himself and perpetuate and get rich off our dysfunction because we allow it. You can't blame him for making jails for criminals when there's no one checking the criminals amongst us. Okay, at one time, if a person perpetrated a sin against a man or a woman, according to the Bible, that particular family was indemnified. Whatever the family lost, if someone killed, stole, or whatever, that direct money, whatever that happened with that criminal, went to the family. Okay, but look what happens amongst us. We are operating in a systematic criminal element, and the money that's made from the criminals that actually perpetrate their criminality against us, all the money goes to the state. So you think the state is trying to stop criminals? No money is coming back to help the families that are suffered through murder, through thievery, through lying, through cheating, through killing, through drugs. None of that is coming back to helping the people it's affecting. So it's something that we can't talk about the white man no more. Let me read this here. Throughout the generations, we've excused sinners. For example, we continually excuse sinners. For example, cheaters, liars, drunks, molesters, drug dealers, witches, sorcerers, whoremongers, thieves, murderers, homosexuals. And we have unintentionally allowed these nation destroyers to have the influence over righteous examples in our communities. They have more status and prestige than the righteous man or the virtuous woman. What's wrong with that? With a drug dealer will get more shine than a brother that's trying to do right, or may even go to church, or may want to raise a family righteously, may not have the money of a drug dealer, but he's a moral person. But in our community, it's the drug dealer, T on a corner, getting all the support of the community. Now, this discussion is not for blaming, we just shining a light on it. How can we expect others to come in and try to help us with anything when they are looking from the outside? Seeing the examples of things we allow that continually destroy us, that we actually have the control, we actually have the power to stop it if we were to unite under a law. So we expecting a politician or a pastor or someone else to fix it from the outside, when the answer was here the whole time. It was here the whole time. We just needed to unite under the word of God and hold everyone accountable, starting with the so-called pastors who's teaching it. If they don't stand for nothing and they are excusing sin, you can't teach in our community. You're not qualified if you can't stand on the principles and laws of the Bible you claim to uphold. Right? Now, this discussion is not for blaming, but shining a light on the darkness in the hope that our parents can now become accountable. Let's start in our own homes. And so that we can pass down accountability to this important generation before us. Our children, why do you think they're ramping up the vaccine schedules and all those things, and is aiming the gay agenda and all that on the next generation, where you can't even look at a commercial without seeing some weird perversion? Why do you think they're aiming at these children? Our children, this next generation is the generation, folks. This next generation, the majority of children are not going to grow up under the lies we had to grow up under. And guess what? The powers that be understands the impact of that. They understand that. The leaders is the next generation. That's why they turning boys into girls. That's why they pushing the so-called gay lifestyle and all that. That's why they're keeping our children distracted with all types of garbage online and all that, because they understand the significance of this time and this generation. So the question is, how can we break our generational dysfunctions? How can we? Someone says, Renee Morgan states, we have people around and in our community that we don't know. They don't believe as we do, and they are of this world. So how do we change our community with so much division amongst us? Great question, because there is solutions for that. We're going to go into that, but if any of you would like to chime in with an answer, I'll be more than happy to hear what that is. But you know what? That's a great question, because the majority of people in our community don't want to hear what the Bible has to say. Well, that's good. Right there, I can put a red flag on that particular person. So it's about uniting those who are of like mind. Do you notice I don't know if you've been in so-called white suburb communities. You should see how the mothers of that community unite in solidarity against outside enemy that can affect the community. You should see they go to all the PTA meetings. Okay, their children play together. They all go to the same church. They all go to the same card games and meetings. And guess what? They all have the same town watch. And I'm not saying it's a perfect standard, but what I'm saying is it's voluntary. But at least there's a number of people that's going to protect that area. And all of their husbands have guns to enforce the protection of their children. Check it out sometimes. The wrong person walked down the street or somebody they haven't recognized, before you get to the end of the block, everyone know that someone is on the block that don't belong there. Okay? So it's about uniting with those of like mind. And then putting a red flag on all the enemies. Being able to point out what's an enemy to your child's existence and to your family's morals and existence. And sitting down all together in your community meetings, talking to your children and say, this is what's not allowed. There's some lesbians up the street just moved up around here. We have to keep an eye on them. There's some sodomites up the street. They just moved in. We have to keep an eye on them. There's a drug dealer on the corner that we're going to get off our corner. Because that drug dealer is peddling drugs. And guess what? Your child will be peddled to. I grew up in the hood. And I know how many times people came to me and say, yo, young boy, hey, why don't you try this? Until they realized, that I wasn't going to deal with it. And they left me alone altogether. But all in all, they tried. In the absence of my parents. They tried to get me on drugs. They offered me drugs, folks. And we can't turn a blind eye to this. Because when your children go out, they're being offered. Offers are given, folks, to our children. So it's up to the righteous to unite and put a red flag on what y'all know exists before your children. So we're not saying have a town meeting and say, okay, homosexuals, we're going to do something. No. You find out those of like mind in your community and begin there. Someone says, CASD states, lasciviousness became more important to us as people because of so-called opportunity. Now everybody mind their business for monetary gain. So it's more so about chasing money than focusing on what's affecting our children. Good point.
Or not standing against something because of money.
Because of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of money. That's a few more. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm going to tell you, them suburbs, they got it down. They got their children coming to the door. You think they're really selling Girl Scout cookies? No sooner that child come home, they be like, yeah, did you go to 15, 17? Who's up in there? But there's some weirdos been running around up there. Did they buy any cookies? You know, the children sit there and say, we got lemon cookies, looking all in the door, trying to figure out what's going on around them. Right? Someone says, Donna Turner, amen. Those of like minds need to come together and build neighborhoods. Like minds in the Most High and righteous, those who have courage to stand firm. Good point. Okay. Now, of course, I have a few more examples that we're going to talk about this evening in our discussion. The children sin produce, because we're going to show you some of the children that sin produces. But before we do that, let me make some announcements. Hold tight.
Are you seeking to strengthen your biblical foundation? Join us in the Hebrew Bible Academy, where we offer 12 weeks of in-depth learning in a structured environment. Receive real-time news from Brother Shapat.
And let me put out there real quick, brothers and sisters.
And amazing lessons
we have
by
an
Elder
academy
Ricard.
that will start December 23rd. All is invited, okay? And
Learn ancient
we're breaking
Hebrew
down new
with
lessons.
Elder
Like
Lawyer.
This week we're going into
With
the
12
70
amazing
Daniel.
lessons,
We're gonna break down
you're
some
guaranteed to
Daniel
learn more
prophecy.
about
We're gonna
your
break
true
down
biblical
Revelation
history
prophecy
and authentic
in
Hebrew
the last
language
week.
than you
So
would in
if
a
you wanna be
traditional
part of
Christian
this,
church.
send an email
For only
to
a one-time payment of $150 or 3 monthly payments of
or you go to
$50.
gatherwithchrist.org.
Join us
Get
at
on the tab
historytimes.org
Academy,
and
you
sign
can
up
enroll.
today.
Send an email to gathering.
It's not too late. See
Become
you
a part
in the academy.
of the academy. It helps the work. Okay. For those who would like to call in, let me give you the phone number right now. Okay. The phone number, 515-605-9327. You can call in 515-605-9327. Now, like the commercial just put out there, brothers and sisters, we do have another academy coming December 23rd. We would like you all to participate. This academy actually helps us build the work and set up churches in locations that have none, okay? And that's what we're going to be using some of the money for. We have a new church that's coming in Dallas. We should have that thing tied up in a few days. We also are working on a new church in Houston, Texas also, as well as churches in other areas. So we got a new church we're working on for the West Coast, Washington State, as well as California. We're looking to get into Indianapolis and all the other different remote areas. And it's impossible to do these things without financial help. So if you would like to join the academy, you can send an email to gatheringas1@aol.com. 3 months of spiritual packed information you can't find anywhere. Okay. You have 12 weeks of lessons. We send you the PDFs. Shapat and I go in with the news. We have Elder Lawyer who comes in with the Hebrew 101. And we also have your lessons. Okay. There's nothing like this in the earth. 5, 6 hours, sometimes 7 hours of spiritually packed information that you can't get nowhere. So if you would like to be a part of this, send an email to gatheringas1@aol.com. Or go to historytimes.org or gatheringofchrist.org. Also, I want to mention, give an honorary mention to Elder Gabar, who's over I Am Apparel. You'll be surprised some of the products we have there for wear, for Israelites and for brothers and sisters, your everyday wear. You can go to I Am Apparel, go to gatheringofchrist.org and hit the tab for I Am Apparel. You'll be shocked at all the apparel we have for men, women, and children. Put on your beautiful garments through I Am Apparel, okay? Also, we have through our headquarters we would like to have open by January 1st, okay? And we're asking for donations for those who can actually donate to help us with some of the work. We need finances. We have contractors working, but we need finances to help get it up. And guess what? It will be up by January 1st if it be the Lord's will. So if you want to send donations, you can, if you want to send through check or money order, you can send it to Gathering of Christ Church, 2000 Hamilton Street, P.O. Box 946, Philadelphia, PA 19130. Or you can just send us an email to gatheringas1@aol.com and say you would like to donate for the building, and we'll respond with exactly of how you can actually donate in corresponding with your email. I wanted to put that out there also. Okay. Now another thing, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, real quick. Kind of timely with today's broadcast. Also, speaking about building a community.
Yes.
It's a great help if you would hit the like button on the YouTube page and the subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Okay, and that way, it'll help actually the numbers to, build a community so others can hear the type of broadcast today. And be sure to hit the like and subscribe and the little bell notification so you can get, the notification when the broadcast goes live.
Exactly, and that's what it's about. It's about supporting each other, in spirit. And I'll tell you, you can hit like, subscribe, and what happens is, it will allow others to actually view us, because it automatically somehow through the algorithm, it's referred based on how many likes, share, and subscribe. So when people just go to YouTube, it'll pop up as an option if y'all move it up the algorithm chain, but it can only happen if you like, share, or subscribe. Okay. Now I wanted to put this out there real quick that last week a sister called in through Blog Talk from Florida. She gave us a number that was on a piece of paper, but the paper mistakenly was thrown away while we were clearing things up. We were going to call you the next day. So, sister, I need you to call back if you hear this. I didn't forget to call you, but when we wrote your number down on a piece of paper, it was mistakenly thrown away. Okay, so I don't think we forgot you. So if I said I was going to contact you and didn't, it's because your number was on that page. But you can, when you call in, I'll see your number. I'll make sure I put it on my computer. Therefore, I don't have to worry about it. Okay, and I'll call you at my earliest convenience. Now, the topic: the children sin produce. Let's open up a few calls real quick. And for those who would like to call in, 515-605-9327 is the call-in number. All right. First, we have 757 area code, and then afterwards 216 area code. Please make your comments short and sweet in respect of those in the queue. 757 area code. Shalom, you're live with the Gathering of Christ.
Shalom, Elder Repair of the Lawyer.
Shalom, how are you?
Shalom, brothers. Doing well, blessed. Just wanted to chime in really quickly, just to add on to what you were saying, Elder. I definitely think it reflects, the youth reflects the elders and who the elders are, And I also think it starts inwardly with yourself. You changing yourself with the word of the Lord and getting baptized in it. That breaks the curse over you and your legacy, and then your walk, the way you show your children how you walk as a parent in Christ, that'll make your children follow suit, just how we're our highest children, and, we're following suit under his authority. So I think it definitely starts with the foundation of just you checking yourself as a parent, as a human first, as a child of God first, understanding who you are, making the necessary changes, being accountable. And then that way your walk will definitely reflect into your children, because they have no choice but to follow what they see in front of them. So, the youth is messed up based upon, the ones that are here before them. So I just wanted to chime in with that. Bless you, brothers. Thank you for all the effort in your work. And shalom.
Shalom, and thank you, brother. Shalom. Okay, the next phone call, 216 area code. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. Our topic: the children sin produces. Shalom.
Shalom. I like to speak on family unit as far as keeping together, because of the welfare that's being given out to young ladies to lose their men, picking up the family, and the streets are teaching kids the videos, the raw videos, and
Hey,
things.
brother, hold on. Let,
But,
let, let me
sir,
let me put you on hold. I'll come right back. Something is going on with your phone. I need you to get into a better area, and I'll come back to you because your phone is muffled. I'll come back to you, 216. 501 area code, then 574 area code. Shalom, 501.
I just wanted to tell you,
Bad reception. If y'all have a bad phone, I'm going to the next call. 574 area code, then 347 area code. Shalom. (574) area code. I'm going to the next call. 347 area code, then 407 area code. 347, then 407.
Shalom, Elder. You can hear me?
Shalom. You're live on Blog Talk. You're live through YouTube. You're here with the Gathering of Christ Church. Our topic, the children sin produces. Talk to us. The children sin produces.
Shalom, Elder Lawyer. Shalom, Elder Lawyer, Deacon Shapai, Elder Ricard's brother Yashar, NYC. And I think this is a timely topic that we're talking about. And it's funny because I feel like a little pain in my gall because, like, one of the biggest spirits that's plaguing our community, along with what you're talking about, is the spirit of concealment. Like, you know how the way the adversary works and how the spirits work, even tell you in the Testament of Reuben, the 4th chapter, that concealment is a serious spirit. And I say that because you grow up, and the thing is, my parents raised me not to involve myself in, like, gang banging, guns busting, like, stuff like that, selling drugs. But one thing I would have to admit that I was guilty of was the concealment of it. Like, not saying much of who was selling, or not doing much, or knowing who it was. If they asked me to, like, just stand by me or whatever, just so a cop won't think I'm dealing with anything, I would do it. And you know, it's like, I just thank Yeshaya because he gave us a chance of repentance, because now it's like something that I would never do that again. But that is plaguing the community because I've seen it, and I remember one of the stories that's coming to my mind as you're speaking on this is when I was in the 7th grade, and this girl, and she was a close friend of mine, and she told me that a boy in our school raped her. And I think about the children younger than me, and I'm like, she didn't tell anybody that. And then I was like, I told her I would do whatever she wants me to do, but she wanted to conceal it. So I can only imagine how that affected her being 11 or 12 years old, and she was raped as a girl. And now that I'm going into, like, work, like, I want to do, like, youth correctional counseling, or dealing with, like, a little bit of school counseling as my future, I can only imagine how these kids is concealing all these issues, concealing all these problems. And this stuff is plaguing our community. It actually frustrates me as I'm even talking right now. And when it comes to solutions, I think of Isaiah 9:16, where it was like, yo, the leaders of this people cause them to error. Because the saddest part, our parents is going off, our uncles is going off, our cousins is going off. It tells you, and it's like another Benjamite saying is that it takes a village to raise a child, but the whole village is plagued of sinners. So it's like, who is the example? And that's the reason why we constantly got to be street preaching. We constantly got to be following the government. And when I say government, I'm talking bishop, deacon, elder, officer. That's the government I'm talking about. Because that's the only way we will renew our people's minds. Because other than that, hell is going, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. Elder, I could go on forever, but I do want to be respectful of other people's time. Just keep dropping it, because this is frustrating me when I think about it. It makes me want to hit up the girl who even, just to see if she's okay going forward. But Elder, I yield. And another last point I do say, and you might have to speak on this, Elder, for you. We're contending against the ideology of what's cool. Because even though I never wanted to sell drugs, listening to 50 Cent, listening to you say you a gangster, listening to that stuff seriously plagues your mind. And I recommend everybody go watch that video Elder Ricard and the elders did on Do As Thou Wilt. Because you're not living the life you think. You're living a preconditioned life given to you by Aleister Crowley. So, elders, I yield. Peace, blessings, shalom.
Thank you, brother. Great points. Thank you, brother. Great points. And one thing that stood out there is he's saying that one thing that's allowing sin and evil to be perpetuated on our children. And what's going on plaguing our communities is the spirit of concealment. That's darkness, where a young lady can get raped, and whatever's going on in her home, she feels wrong for actually speaking out. Now, I'm glad he brought out one. That's only one of many examples, but that will plague her the rest of her life, even when it brings in an early age an inordinate affection. It can either work one way or the other. Sometimes it turns a young lady promiscuous, where a demon comes in, where she just gives a body for nothing, with no value to every man. Or it can come in where she becomes so closed that even when she meet a well-deserving man of her love, that man have to deal with breaking through that wall she placed up with her first experience with a perpetrator, someone who she should have been protected from. And not only that, we have these people operating in our neighborhoods who know exactly who to target. They know what person to deal with that will not say anything, or who's afraid to say anything. Why? Because there's no protectors, brothers and sisters. Perpetrators, believe it or not, they target their victims. The problem is in our neighborhoods, we don't focus and target them. We don't focus on targeting them like they do us. We don't unite ourselves against unrighteousness. And right now, that girl grew up, and no telling what came or what produced from that initial sin that came in, which wasn't her fault. There's no protection for our young ladies. That's an issue. There's no protection. And they feel they're out there by themselves. And then you run into these ladies when they get older and see how defensive and upset they are and how abrasive they are, not realizing she had to put that up to protect herself after what happened at the age of 10 or 11. When there should be some protection for our young girls, 10, 11 years old. We have daughters being raised with no protectors around them, which I believe is the biggest issue, where the father's not there to protect her from the beginning. And these perpetrators knows this. But I can go on and on. That can be a conversation within itself, but concealment. Young boys are getting taken advantage of and conceal it. Why? No young man want to admit that they've been taken advantage of by someone else. There's a lot of that going on amongst our community. And that's why the Most High said in the Bible, I used to wonder, why is it so punitive of a punishment for homosexuality? Okay, why? Because why? Sometimes being taken advantage of is actually worse than death. Because you have to now grow your whole life with that sin in you, and now you're perpetrating that same sin and affecting many lives. With that perversion that moves from one person, from the perpetrator to the victim. That spirit moves, and then it begins to operate and destroy others. That's why the Most High made that law so punitive, because it's one thing to be an unrepentant, a repentant person who know you're dealing with darkness and know you're struggling with something and looking to overcome it. It's another thing when you become a victimizer against the pure, the unprotected. And that's why the Most High had that in the Bible, that if a man lie with mankind, he shall surely be put to death, because he know these two perverts are unrepentant, and they will find a young boy to abuse, molest, and destroy. But yet we can't talk about that in our communities. And that's a problem. That's a problem, that we can't talk about this. How can we break our generational dysfunctions? It starts with us talking about it, just like we are today. Bringing it to light. Bringing it to light. Bringing it to light. I looked online and I see what's going on. Sometimes I look at what's going on with the so-called conscious community, that hot mess of unbelievers and atheists. A bed of sinners and evildoers. And you know what? And I say, you know what? Why are these cons existing? You know why? Because they understand their audience. They understand their community. They know how to victimize. They understand that our people are in a victim state and they're capitalizing from it. I look at one guy, no light, took 70,000 from a brother in the UK. 70,000 of his inheritance he took away. And these people are supposed to be the ones who dropping knowledge and understanding for our people. Thieves. Another brother, I'm seeing a guy called Nature Boy or something. Come to find out, I don't know what's going on with his family, but he was raised with no protection, where homosexuals took him in and just turned him out all there in Atlanta and all that. And no one is actually reaching out and saying, brother, you shouldn't have a platform in which you're talking about this. We need to now make sure no one else do what was done to you. Okay? You're still that little boy who was abused by those guys. And we're wrong for allowing this to happen in our communities. Who are they? Let's find them. And if they don't exist, let's find others like them and stop them. Okay? There's other people, like a brother was speaking out against himself being molested or whatever the case is. And now you have the conscious community. I see brothers out there attacking him. One moment. Attacking him, making him a victim, and totally moving all of the light off of the darkness who's African Bambaataa, who's been raping our children all over the earth. Because they can do it. They know that there's no protectors, no people standing with the laws of God to protect our children. And brothers and sisters, they're out there. And if you think they're not going to affect your children, guess what? They done found their way online, folks. They talking that metaphysics garbage, all this crap, and their main focus is to destroy or to discredit the Bible because they know the Bible identifies the demon in them. Let me bring in Gabar Yasha Allah real quick. Where's right here? Let me bring in Gabar. Gabar, you with me?
How we doing, elders? Can you guys hear?
I'm blessed. The floor is yours, my brother. Elder Gabar.
Well, yeah, let me just okay, all praise to the Most High. Just listen to the show, and I just came in with my family. I was listening in the car, and I'm home now, so I wanted to just come in and just give my 2 cents. You know, I think what's happening, we in evolution, or of thought within the Black and Latino community, because going into the conscious community, and just the people that are, we have to separate the people that are in the conscious community versus the leaders of the conscious community, or some of the leaders of the conscious community. But the people that are in the conscious community, at least they are looking for answers. They're looking in the wrong places, but they are looking for answers. And I was hearing a talk show today, dealing with these brothers that are within the conscious community, things of that nature. And it's funny how now, not funny, but it's peculiar that now even the hardcore brothers that were at one point talking about the white man is the devil, and the white man is this, the white man is that, and the conspiracy, and they get against us and things of that nature, are starting to realize that it's not the white man robbing you. It's not the white man raping your little girls. It's not the white man mugging you or your grandmother, or what have you. It's us. So now within the country community, I believe there's a thought process coming that now we are shifting, or they're shifting, and say, you know what, we have to self-reflect in things of that nature. And and it's funny you mentioned about the African Bambaataa thing, because they mentioned that in regards, okay, what should we do? Should we take them out? Because then if we take them out, then the government's going to take us out, and things of that nature. And then they were discussing different ideas of what to do within these type of situations. And it's funny because really, if you start now, they're starting to realize that there has to be some form of code of conduct among the community.
Okay.
But the problem is, what is that code of conduct? Where's going to be the guidelines and things of that nature? And I truly believe that the Gathering Christ Church and not only us, but I think since we are a member of the Gathering Christ Church, we are ahead of our time in regards of what the other brother was saying about the government. And he was referring to the deacons and the elders and the bishops and the officers and the structure that we set up in the church, that really that is going to be the only thing that's going to be standing when it's all said and done. So what people consider to be in a cult now, or you're being pulled away from your families, or you've been pulled away from society, when society collapsed, what else you got left? Outside of the bishops, the elders, and the deacons and the officers, the community within the Gathering Christ Church. So community is now what I think people are looking for. What community I could be involved with, because we travel by nature. But if whatever community is not based under the righteousness of the scriptures, it's going to fall. So I think even people that are outside the Bible are starting to realize that it's not about the enemy. The enemy is always going to be there, but it's what we do with this information and what we accept from the enemy. So I think I wanted to just throw those 2 cents, my 2 cents, because I believe there is a shift now in the conscience community, or just Black and Latinos in general, and especially within these Black Power movements, or what have you, these Black identity movements, that now they're starting to realize that old song dance about the government and they are to get us, and the white man this and white man's that, it's getting old. It's getting outdated. So now, what's next? And I truly believe that we're gonna be the last man standing, in things of that nature. That's why it's very important for the brothers that are listening, the sisters that are listening. You have to link up with the brothers. You have to link up with the sisters and things of that nature in your respective area, or the closest to you. And let me also say this: you may have to be extreme. That if there's not a Gathering Christ Church in your area, you may have to make some extreme measures, like move to another state where there is a well-established body. Because when it all comes down, it's us. So I want to just, leave that on the table.
Well, thank you. Well, I need you to stay on. If you got to go, or you can stay on, because you only got another 15, 20 minutes, about 30 minutes.
I can stay on, yes, sir.
Okay, good. So I'm going to put you on mute. Just put your phone on mute, and I'll bring you in a second, okay?
Will do.
Okay. What's deep about what he brought out, Shapat, right? He was saying how now the so-called conscious community are now coming to terms that the old thing isn't working, about just focusing on the white man, and that we have to start dealing with some accountability amongst ourselves, using Bambaataa as an example, right? But Bambaataa is not the only example, right? But let's just start with Bambaataa real quick. He's saying, well, what if we take him out, then the white man is going to take us out. Well, here's my answer to that. When it comes to drug dealers and all that, and I use some examples of where I grew up at, people go to war all day long over a corner or over territory, and they'll fight over a corner to sell their drugs on. But yet, there's no war or a battle where the line is drawn when our children are being taken advantage of. Now check that out. You are afraid to go to war against someone who you know is hurting our children. But yet, there's wars every day fought, killing and all that, for corners to sell drugs on who going to be the next drug dealer to poison our children. What's wrong with that? I'll tell you what. You go inside a white neighborhood and try to do something to a white little girl and see where your behind end up at. See where you end up at. You take your behind. One thing I can say about these other nations, they deal with those people amongst them. They deal with them. If you're founded, they deal with you. One guy came in, one white guy walked in on his daughter being taken advantage of by a friend. He killed this guy on the spot and didn't spend one day in jail. Okay? So we're wired wrong for the things we allow and the things we conceal. We are wired wrong. So using Bambaataa as an example as a molester, yes, he can be used as an example with him what? Being high profile. Understandable. But we need to apply that to all the sins that are affecting us negatively. The rape that's happening, the dishonor that's happening, where people are dealing with these sisters without going to their father or their parents, holding the youth accountable, setting the structure with rules. It's a shame that in our neighborhoods, if you cross a drug dealer, you know the consequences. See that? You know the consequences in a neighborhood if you cross a drug dealer. But why that doesn't apply to everything else? If you cross a righteous man by sinning against a righteous man, you expect no consequences?
It wasn't so at one point.
Yeah. It used to be the righteous executing the judgment amongst the communities, amongst the people, the elders. Jumping right in. Elder Lawyer, you can come in anytime. We have about, let's see, one moment here. Where are we? We have about 30 minutes. We'll probably do about 10 minutes overtime. Anytime you want to jump in, Shapat, you can. Elder Lawyer, you can jump in anything you would like to say.
Absolutely. Dealing on the point of, I noticed we've mentioned quite a few times throughout this discussion, the usual reaction of our people when these types of discussions are brought up, or when this topic is brought up. And the usual reaction is to say, well, we know that the reason for the state of our communities is based on the government imposition against our community. Now, we know, number one, that the government has dealt with levels of espionage, and even to some degree openly has been in opposition to our community. We're at war. We understand that. Okay? But I want to refer to a video that I believe this came out maybe earlier this year, maybe late last year, or sometime last year. I'm not sure if you guys remember Denzel Washington when being interviewed on I think it was his latest movie, Roman J. Israel.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was being interviewed based on the fact that movie was dealing with him being, I assume he was a lawyer. I didn't see the movie, but I think he was a lawyer or something to that effect. And he was asked a question concerning the black community and the injustices that take place against the black community. And one thing he stated, just paraphrasing a few things he stated, don't blame the system for black incarceration. It starts at home. Now, of course, a lot of our people were upset, or many people, including some in the conscious community, were upset at that statement, because the blame for the incarceration of our people, and again, we know that there's a lot of shady business that goes on against us, but nonetheless, his response wasn't, well, yes, it's the system's fault. We need to fix the system. His response was, don't blame the system for black incarceration because it starts at home. He went on to say that, well, the system is not going around and mass incarcerating 7-year-olds.
Exactly.
But by the time we're 13, we have committed many evils that possibly land us in prison. And this is a result of what we learn in the house, or the absence, or what we don't learn in the household. So I'm bringing up this point for a reason. When we go into the Bible, we can always point at examples of the other nations being against us. We can point at the Babylonian government being against us. We can point at the Greek government being against us. We can point at the Roman government being against us. But at the same time, or for the majority of time in the Bible, when we read the Bible, a majority of time, it points out the evils that we've committed against ourselves. And I'm going to read a scripture that I believe is very profound, and it speaks to what we're dealing with today. And then I'm going to give a little bit of a backdrop to show you that even in the face of the enemy government, or the government of the enemy, we still find ourselves against ourselves. We still find a way to become enemies, even in the face of the adversary. This is the book of, let me get this here. This is Matthew chapter 27, verse 25.
Yeah.
Then answered all the people and said, his blood be upon us, speaking about the blood of Christ, and on our children. So why am I reading the scripture? What does the scripture have to do with anything we're discussing tonight? Again, the scripture says, his blood, meaning the blood of Christ, be upon us and on our children. This is being spoken by the chief priests, the scribes, the Pharisees, and all those who were banded together against Christ. Now here it is, we had Christ, which for the life of me, I don't understand why Christ cannot be celebrated or is not celebrated as the greatest black leader, so-called black leader, to ever walk the face of the earth. We celebrate the Farrakhan's. To some degree, we celebrate the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, and the Marcus Garvey, so on and so forth. But for some reason, we cannot find it within ourselves to celebrate Christ as the greatest black leader to ever walk the face of this earth. When we examine Christ, Christ was against the abuse and the misuse of children. This is why he said what? Suffer the children to come unto me. He was against the oppression of the people, both spiritually as well as physically. This is why it states that he came to free the captives. He came to heal the brokenhearted. He was against the violence within our community. That's why he said what? Blessed are the peacemakers. So Christ came with the solutions and the answers that would fix not only the ancient Israelite community, but also our modern Israelite communities. Okay? But getting back to the point, we have a situation where Christ is being accused by his own people, the people who he came to help and die for, the people who he came to heal. He's being accused by the same people of being a witch and a warlock, of being all these things that they were accusing them of, when the only thing he came to do was to help us and free us as a nation. Now here it is, we're in a situation where you have Pontius Pilate, who is a representative of the Roman government. Today we would call him a representative of the so-called white man's system. And then we have the leaders of our system, our government, the chief priests, the scribes, the Pharisees, and the other leaders of the Israelite nation, the Israelite community. Pontius Pilate, the representative of the white system, the Roman government, is trying to find a way for Christ, or some type of stipulation for Christ to go free, because he, even though he's a Roman, even though his people had us in slavery, because he could not find any fault in Christ, he was at least willing to try to offer up a way for Christ to go free.
The white man.
Now, our people, instead of taking that opportunity,
that was the
and saying,
white man trying to free Christ from the judgment of his own people.
exactly,
Now there's a point,
exactly.
lawyer. I don't want you to break your point because you want to roll here, okay? But this is what I want to bring out here concerning this. Christ came to help the victims, and all the leaders wanted him crucified so that they can have access to the people to further victimize them. Mm-hmm. It wasn't because they were against. It wasn't against. It wasn't about Christ being what they claim he was, an evildoer, a sorcerer. They were just trying to turn the people against Christ, because Christ was the protector of the people. And I'm saying that because the same thing happens today, where they're looking to discredit and crucify and come against the Bible because they know the Bible points out the victimization. You notice all these people who protected these child molesters, who's conning and all that. All these people are against the Bible. You notice this? But it's deep what you're bringing out, Elder Lawyer, because they said, give us Barabbas. I would rather you turn loose the most evil incarcerated man in jail than to allow this protector, the Son of the Most High, to go free. Crucify him.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds pretty perverse.
Go ahead, lawyer.
Yes, sir. Just two scriptures on that point you just mentioned, those 2 points. This is Proverbs chapter 17, verse 15. He that justifieth the wicked, and he that condemneth the just, even they both are abomination to the Lord. That's what happened to Christ, and that's what continues to happen in our communities. The wicked are justified. The drug dealer is justified. Oh, he's just trying to feed his children. Oh, if he didn't sell drugs, somebody else would sell it. Oh, it's the white man pushing the drugs in the community. Someone stands up, and without any understanding of what to do to stop the poison being pushed in their communities, they may go to the authorities because they're tired of all the sickness, all the pain, all the murder, and all the unjust things that take place as a result of drugs being pushed in the community. And what happens? They become condemned. You find them somewhere in an alleyway. Why? Not because they were selling the drugs, but because they tried to stop the drug dealers from pushing the poison in the community. Now, another point dealing with the scribes and the Pharisees, showing that they were really invested in the sickness of the community. Why? Because if the people are constantly sick, if they're constantly in a state of spiritual and physical bondage, then the scribes and Pharisees could continue to make monetary gain of the people. There's no monetary gain when you have a healed people. When people don't need to come to you or feel like they need to come to you and have access to you in order to get access to God. This is what the Bible says in the book of St. Luke chapter 16, verse 13 through 14. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. That's a righteous statement. Your loyalties cannot be divided. Either you serve the Most High or you serve Satan. You serve mammon. You serve money. You serve finance. You serve the lust of the flesh. You serve the God of this world. Now in verse 14, it says this, and the Pharisees also, who were covetous, heard all these things, and they derided him. Not because Christ said anything unrighteous or Christ was dealing in unrighteousness, but because they were more so focused on mammon than the Most High. So now they started coming against Christ. Why? Because Christ was coming in between them and their dollar signs. Okay? But getting back to the point I was making earlier in closing, just showing that we have to come up out of this mindset that all of our issues are to be blamed on the system. Yes, and I'm going to refer back to the video that Denzel Washington did. He said, yes, the system, just paraphrasing, he said, yes, the system is corrupt. The system is rigged, but I'm not going to give them more reason or I'm not going to put myself in more of a predicament to be caught up in a rigged system. Like if you know the system is against you, you know the system has certain traps and snares in place to keep you ensnared, to keep you entrapped. Why play into the system? Why continue to sell the drugs? Why continue to be a murderer and a terror to your own people? Why continue to do the things that's going to keep you institutionalized and keep you in the system? So this is the solution the Bible gives, or one of the many solutions that the Bible gives. It says here in the book of St. Luke, chapter 26, verse 40 through 42, this is the last point. If they confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers, which with their trespass, which they have trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary to me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and if they accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. With that, I yield.
Hey, great points, great points. And I'll tell you this, brothers and sisters, if you notice what was brought out, it was profound what Elder Lawyer brought out here, showing solution. And what came to mind when he said we have to stop, he was paraphrasing Denzel Washington, and stop blaming the government and blaming this, that, and the other. Why? I noticed that years ago there was this so-called former LAPD guy who found out that the FBI was complicit with the CIA in smuggling drugs into LA, and they had this big town meeting with the politicians and all that to bring it to the forefront, right? But here's the issue. There was no town meeting within the communities pointing out all the drug dealers that were selling drugs amongst us. Where was that meeting at? Where was the meeting on the drug dealers? Where's the meeting on the child molesters? Where's the meeting on the thieves and the con artists? Where's the meeting on all the other nations coming into our neighborhoods with these different religions, tearing us apart religiously and monetarily, and taking the spoils back to their countries? Where is the meeting? But there won't be a meeting if the children of Israel don't come back to the Most High God under one law and one principle. There won't be a meeting. So now, I mean, when you look at it, the plebs of our people, the low of our people are saying, well, you know what, we can't beat them, let's join them. The other nations are taking advantage of the underprivileged, the poor, the suffering, the cursed. Let us in on the game now. We can't beat the system, so let us take advantage of them also. So it comes a time in which we, as a people, have to say, you know what? I'm a child of the Most High God, and I'm not taking it no more. For the sake of our children. I'm not taking it no more. We're not just going to sit back and be overran by sinners. We can't do it no more. And see, and that's the point in uniting and setting up churches in righteousness. I'm not talking about these ragtag churches that are out there like the TD Jakes and all of them, the mega churches and all that ain't talking about garbage. I'm talking about actually establishing the same ministry under the same spirit Christ developed with the disciples, and that he nurtured in the disciples, that original ministry, that place in which is a refuge. When our brothers and sisters do need help, or whatever the case is, they can reach out and get solutions, get resolve, protection. So it's not about waiting for someone else to do it. Okay? We have to establish the kingdom on earth. We have to establish what we can with who we can. A few more phone calls. Put the number up there for me. We have a long line. Please be respectful of the people who are waiting, okay? And make your comment short and sweet, please. We have Brother John. We have Sister Lisa from Florida. That's who I was waiting for. Okay. Sister Lisa, how are you?
Good evening, Elder Erica. How are you?
Blessed by the best. I have your number, so I'm going to make sure I call you back. You heard I lost your number, but I'm going to write it down. I'm going to call you after the program. The floor is yours.
Yes, sir. That's important because I want you to make it public after I tell you what happened to me personally. So this is personal experience. But just a quick comment to tonight's topic. I think our people have lost the fear of the Most High and the judgment of the Most High. And I believe that's for most of the sin in our nation and this world is that fear is gone. And that's due to the church. Coming from the church, my dad was a bishop and a pastor. I grew up in the church. I'm 46 now, but I grew up in the church. That's coming from the watered down scriptures, people not knowing what to follow, what to believe, because you're not, okay, they don't teach the Old Testament, so therefore the statute, laws, and commandments don't matter. So there's no accountability for the sin. So God is love. He loves what the scripture says, that he loves the sinner, hates the sin. That's how I grew up. That's what I was taught before I came in the truth. So if I can just tiptoe through the tulips, sinning, and God loves me regardless, there's no accountability for sin. There's no judgment for sin. So why not sin? Because sin is sweet. And that's where we are as a nation and as a people. So this truth is tough. This truth is a lot of accountability, and our people plainly just don't want to basically accept the truth. That's how I feel about this whole thing. In business, I'm a business owner. I've been hurt more by our own people in business than any of the other nations, to be honest. And that's just the truth about it. We still have this crab mentality of hurting each other, not supporting each other, not wanting each other to get ahead of us. So it's a lot of healing that has to take place with the nation, and that comes from that slave mentality that we have to kind of let go of to start even building communities. Is what I feel about this thing.
Well, thank you, sister, and hopefully we can break through and help our people. That's what it's about, because like I said, I don't believe it's intentional. I believe this curse that have been placed on us have allowed us to look at our lives and what we view as the status quo, as if it's normal. But it takes a light to shine, and it takes patience. It takes us not judging, but saying, well, listen, let's talk about it and bring biblical solutions. You understand? And guess what? The Most High knew this time would come, that his people everywhere would begin to discuss our plight, our curse, and seek solution. Seek the throne of heaven for a resolve, because we've tried everything else. So, sister, I understand it's hard dealing with our people in business, but we still have to be patient and deal with them. Just like I said, I'm going to place you on hold. Just like when I was disrespected patronizing the Jamaican restaurant the other day, I didn't say anything. What I did was I made sure they kept the money. I just didn't get the product. You understand? Because our people need the money. But because you pulling the money back and saying, well, I'm not going to patronize it anymore, I believe they'll get some satisfaction from that. They don't care about the consequences, but we have to understand that regardless of all that, hey, Christ died, brothers and sisters, while we were in sin. He died for the sinners. He died knowing we are a certain type of way. But he didn't hold his blood back. He didn't hold his sacrifice back, regardless of the sinners, regardless of the darkness and sin we were under. So we still have to deal with our people and sacrifice for them. As an to open up the door to have that opportunity to one day get to them. We can't give up on God's people. The Most High never gave up on us. Okay. Back to the point, we have to understand the children sin produces. We're looking at it. Go ahead, Elder. Yes.
So if I could just chime in, if you don't mind, Elder. You know, I had a conversation about 15 to 17 years ago with a so-called Jew. And he stated that within the Jewish community, a Jew will deal with a Jew that is robbing him in a business or in a business deal and things of that nature. He will stay with that Jew until he finds another Jew that he could do business with. So within the Jewish community, you have situations that they will deal with a Jew, a so-called Jew, that is corrupt, is a shyster, and all of that, and they will stay with him until they find another Jew that could deal, they could, get better pricing or whatever it is that they're negotiating, because that's the type of love they have for the people, exactly. for their own, self-preserve type of mentality.
Yeah,
and they used to be also. When I remember, I used to go to East New York to visit my friend. I used to see Chinese people traveling to East New York, from Chinatown, going back to East New York, and they used to go to Chinatown just to go shop. And there was a bodega or a supermarket down the block from them, but they would travel all the way to Chinatown, get their produce and everything and things of that nature, and go back to East New York for the love for the people. And that's the type of love we have to have, with the understanding that our people are the most difficult, are the most pig-headed, are the most, shiesty people that we may, come across, but we still have to do, I always say, I'm an economic racist. That you have to go and say, I'd rather deal with my people rather than deal with somebody outside of your community. And it gets hard and it's difficult. And sometimes you have to haggle some prices. You got to deal with some attitudes and things of that nature. But just to kind of give you an example of what the other nations do to keep their power in the political and economic infrastructure within their community. So I just want to also deal with that. But it's difficult dealing with our people. That in business and everything, they charge you the most prizes and they give you the less with services. But we still gotta love them and still deal with our own people. So I just want to add that as well, Elder.
Well, thank you. Great point. Go ahead, Shapat.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Elder Gabar was saying, and by not doing what the example Elder had mentioned in the Jamaican store and what Elder Gabar just gave with those examples from other nations, by not doing it, you understand, we would actually be what was brought out earlier, which is perverse.
Exactly.
The consequences of not supporting our own means we die.
Exactly.
Economically and otherwise.
So even though we have to deal with struggling through the curses to support our people, we support them anyway.
Knowing the consequences.
Knowing the consequences, because we love them. Right? And I wanted to put this out there real quick. I know that just for the sake of it, because I got an email on this and I want to straighten this out, that some young kids running around with the Bible are saying something about emailing lawyer about some debate or something. The lawyer didn't correspond with anyone about no debate at all. Zero. Okay, so let me put that out there. So if y'all see that stuff out there, understand we're dealing with people who are bearing false witness and that are looking for attention, okay? There was no correspondence with elder lawyer with anyone concerning a debate on any topics or some debate with some straggling brothers that's running around individually with computers. We've done that. We're past that. It's about nation building and bringing God's people back to the knowledge of the kingdom the knowledge of the truth before the curtains come down, okay? We're about spreading the gospel, baptizing in the name of the Most High in Christ, baptizing like Christ baptized, so that our brothers and sisters can receive the gift of the Holy Spirit for the kingdom of heaven. Okay? That's what we are about. So if you see anyone trying to put out videos claiming that there was a correspondent through email for a debate with some Israelite group or something, that don't exist. That never happened. Okay? Just putting it out there. And Elder Lawyer, you can attest that that didn't happen, correct?
Absolutely, it did not happen.
Huh?
I said, absolutely, that didn't happen.
Period. Period. So thank you, Elder Lawyer. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, just to confirm. Yeah, just confirm. There was never any correspondence. And if someone did send an email, I didn't see the email and probably wouldn't have responded to it in the first place. But, you know, like you stated, Elder, that we're well past that mindset of going back and forth and debating this point, that point. We're too late in the game for that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Exactly.
The answer is no.
Exactly. I just want to put it out there because you got these young brothers that run around picking on other young brothers who follow the church with ad hominem attacks to try to attack them and sideways try to attack the elders of the church. We're beyond that. If anything, those young brothers, go get your teachers and have them call us. Okay, I think the majority of these guys come from remnants or stem from remnants of Great Millstone. Okay, they don't even respect their own teachers. If anything, they need to call Tahar and them and tell Tahar to call us, and we'll have a conversation with Tahar if Tahar would like. You understand? Because we grew up around the same time. But these young
90 seconds.
But these young stragglers that's trying to get brownie points and trying to get recognized off of the church, we don't deal with that crap. We here to establish the kingdom of heaven, which is Christ's word. Okay, so if you hear about that, if anyone put that out there, understand that has nothing to do with us. We don't correspond with children for children matters. We have a church to run. Okay, all right. Let's answer the rest of the calls here. One moment.
60 seconds.
We'll do a little overtime, right? What we have is Brother Micah Allah from Texas. Brother Micah Allah from Texas is going to bring you in. Then Sister Latanya from North Dakota. We have Brother John from Texas. We have 574-501 and 757. So if you've been holding on, don't worry about it. We're going to get right to you. We're going to start with Brother Micah Allah from Texas.
Shalom, Elder. Shalom, Shabbat, Elder Lawyer. I know I was supposed to call you back, Elder, but they got me busy at that job.
Okay, talk to us.
How y'all doing? Are y'all good?
10 seconds.
I'm blessed by the best. Talk to us.
Yeah, just getting back to the original point, man. This is a great broadcast. I mean, man, praise the Most High. And then just about y'all bringing out the spirit, you know, as far as us losing the spirit of wanting to, you know, protect the children and things like that, man. Like certain examples, man. Like to this day, I still don't understand how a woman or a sister could have children and bring a homosexual in the house around the children. So it's like the spirit of wanting to protect the children then went somewhere else. And it's like sometimes you walk into like grocery stores, you see the sister with the children, and then you see the homosexual holding the kid, and you know, it's all type of madness. Like, you know, I know when I was growing up, you know what I'm saying, my mother didn't play that. When I was in a grocery store and I told her I had to go to the bathroom, she sat right by the door. And she kept calling my name and saying, Michael, you okay? Are you okay? And she made sure there wasn't nobody trying to mess with me. But it's like nowadays, man, they just naive to just oblivious to wanting to protect their children and things like that, man. So, you know, that really struck a nerve with me, you know what I'm saying, when you was bringing it out and stuff, man. So, but yeah, that's the only point I was trying to make. Like, we just really need to get back to focusing on wanting to protect our kids from everything. You know what I'm saying? When I see stuff like that,
I don't get mad at the government. I don't get mad at white people. I don't get mad at the agendas that's out there, because as much as the agendas are out there, we're the ones choosing to follow after the agendas and things like that. Like, we're not trying to go away from them. We falling right into all of these agendas. The agendas of them putting drugs in our neighborhood and guns and the homosexual agenda. Like, we following right behind that stuff. It's like when are we gonna realize that we need to wake up?
See, and on that point, without going further into it, you and I have some examples of a sodomite trying to operate with a young child, and I end up reaching out, and we end up getting to the bottom of it, and then that homosexual went AWOL. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
We found out. Hey, we got some examples. I got some examples of, I got the phone number. I got the sodomite on the phone and say, I know where you are. I got him on the phone and say, I know where you are and I know what you've done. And by the time someone got to this dude, by the time someone got to him, he was out of the state. Okay? Because what they do is, a lot of these young single, a lot of these single young mothers don't understand, brothers and sisters, that these predator homosexual dudes are targeting them not to be a friend with them, but to turn their children out. And guess what? They'll give the woman money. They'll help pay rent. They'll go over there and hear her. They'll pop wine with her. But guess what? Their whole focus is to get to that child, male or female, and turn that child into a pervert. Thank you, thank you, Mike. I'm glad you came on, but I'm gonna tell you personally. Let me listen. I'm gonna say it straight out. Okay, I'm not gonna go to a police if a pervert touch anyone closer to my family, that's a child. I'm not going to the police. Straight out, because why? These people are bullying and destroying generations of people, and their target are children on purpose. Okay? And no one is standing up for these children. And you know what? When we found out that sodomite was touching a little kid, guess what? He got out of the state. Okay? We not got no time to be playing around with some dude touching a little baby. We don't got no time for that. Victimizers does what? They victimize, and those that are victimized become victimizers. The demon carries over from one generation to the next, and there's no parent standing out. And some of our sisters are too preoccupied to understand what's going on in their house. And that's a whole nother conversation. I'm getting fired up here. I'm going to put you on hold, Mike. I'll call you later. Shalom.
Shalom.
Let's go to Sister Latanya, North Dakota. Shalom.
Shalom, elders.
Shalom. You're live on Blog Talk.
Shalom.
Shalom. You're live on Blog Talk.
Yes, this one mind. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Yeah, this one-mindedness is really, this one-mindedness that I'm getting from you guys is really my lifesaver, being way out here in North Dakota. Coulda, shoulda, woulda is not going to change anything. Isaiah 53, I think 13, all my children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of my children. While I was bringing them up in the Christian churches, that was never the case. And as I said, it's not going to change anything. Right now I'm blessed to be in this era where I know the truth. Now I can be the example and lead that over to my kids. But one thing, please, is there any way that we can set up something where I can study to be baptized, that I'm so far away, and then go to, I think Chicago may be the closest to me, and be baptized so I can come to Passover in March, because I'm planning on getting that together now.
Yes, sister, we have Elder Gabar over the Chicago congregation. So what I'll do to set up your baptism, let me put down your number, and I'll have Elder Gabar call you to establish a baptism for you, okay?
Okay, good. And I want to bring many of my family members with me also. And if Shapat or you guys can please call me about my son. They are just really abusing him in jail. And if I could just talk to you guys, I would really appreciate it.
Okay, sister, I'm going to give your number to Gabar and we'll call you about that. I think we have a letter concerning that. I'm going to respond back to you. I'll call probably tomorrow and speak with you, okay?
Thank you so much, and I look forward to getting into the academy also.
Thank you, sister, and thank you for your support. And we're going to support you any way we can. All right, shalom.
I'll be in Chicago this weekend, and we could give her the address, behind the scenes.
Okay, I'll give it to you, and you can reach out to her, right, Gabar?
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
All right, I really appreciate you. Shalom, sister. I'm gonna put you on hold. We're now in overtime. So if you haven't called in already, if you're not in queue, you can't come in. So we'll just go down the line for those who are still in the queue. Okay, we have Brother Travis, who right now resides in Brazil. Shalom, Brother Travis. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church.
Hey, I'm just visiting. I'm not residing, but I guess what I'm bringing forward is kind of your topic regarding sinful children. In Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, I've never seen so many single mamas. Nobody gets married down here. Nobody wants a boyfriend. It's a sex-crazed society. If you go on a date with a sister, you don't kiss them the first night, it's a problem. I've already been accused of being gay because I don't want to have sex. So this is a lustful, sinful place. And I see why African Bambaataa went down here, because it's, sex is a sex society. Underage girls, it's not prostitution legal. So yeah, definitely the curse of Israel is alive and well in Brazil.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, I tell you what, if any, we can set up a church there. You have to make sure you send some married men of wisdom. They go over there.
Hey, that
lose their mind over there.
It's more blacks. It's a wild place there. You got to be girded up down here.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I'm glad you keep your head in the right place and your spirit in the right place. So, brother, stay strong, stay prayed up, and I'll see you.
Yes, sir. About 18 more weeks. Yes, sir.
Okay, bless you.
All right. Shalom.
All right, shalom. All right, let's go down the line here. Okay, the next we have Sister Keisha from Pennsylvania. Shalom, Sister Keisha. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church.
Yes, all praise to the Most High. I was at a place of business this week with my son. My son's 11 now. He'll be 12 in March. And I can't take him into the ladies' bathroom like I used to when he was younger. Now it bothers him. So what I do is I was in the hallway, and an Israelite and an Edomite was talking. The Edomite watched me take him over to the bathroom. And a few minutes later, he walked over, and I was standing there because I leave the door cracked like the brother said his mother did. I conversate with my son. You okay? You almost done? Back and forth. So he asked, well, can I go in while he's in there? I said, oh, yeah, you can go in while he's in there, but I'm going to stand right here. And so he rolled his eyes up to the ceiling. I said, well, this one will nobody get. Nobody's going to get this one because I'm going to stand right here while he used the bathroom. And he was offended that I stood there, but I didn't care.
Okay, well, guess what? If he asks,
that's my way.
If this dude is asking, is it okay? Can he go in there? That means he's open for a no. Right there, that he's wide open for the nay right there. Okay, you asking me, can you go in there? And my son is in there. That means I have a say in this. No, when my son is finished, you can go in there. Okay, I'm against the spirit of pedophilia No. No. All right, thank you,
Yes.
sister. It's okay to say no.
Yes. And when I did it first, at first I said no. And at first said no, I said perverted people out here. And that's when he rolled his eyes up to the ceiling.
Okay.
And I said, well, go ahead if you want, but I'm going to stay right here. But I will stand next time on my no, like you're telling me, and say, when he come out, then you can go in.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Because
appreciate that.
they are now normalizing.
Thank you.
Thank you. They're now normalizing pedophilia and making that a sexual preference, as is homosexuality. What they don't want people to know is that they trying to detach, or what you would call, say there's no association between molestation of children and homosexuality, which is a bold-faced lie. Okay? Attraction doesn't start like with homosexuals. Attraction don't start when they are at the age of parental consent. Okay? Attraction is attraction. So if you have these people, I'm going to tell you, homosexuality and molestation are one and the same. Okay? We have to protect our children. Protect them now. We're living in a time of Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, let's go to the next one. We're winding down. Brother Servant from Florida. Shalom, you're live. With the
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom.
Shalom, Deacon.
Shalom.
I believe that I believe we lack structure as a people, because we lack the knowledge that most of us lack, the knowledge of the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Thus, allowing, as a family, allowing these continued children to be born out of fornication or through adulterous relationships, thus furthering the generational curse that already befalls our people. And we are certainly targeted by these people. This guy, Michael Swift, made a homosexual manifesto in 1987, where he stated that we're going to infiltrate the schools, the bathrooms, the homes, and we're going to turn all of these young men into sodomites. We're going to sodomize your children, and there's no way you can stop us. And I think it's a lack of structure in the home, because we lack the knowledge. So the curse allows Lucifer to come in and continue to have these things happen to our children. And you can see where the children now are, like you said, they're going with the flow, because we're searching for something as a people, but no one seems, for the majority, no one has the knowledge, because they're not following a religious or the church, like following our church, for instance. A lot of people don't have the leadership of the elders and deacons to educate them on where we should be and what we should get back to as a people.
Yeah.
This is why these curses still befall us. And I'm done after that, but my daughter, she wanted to speak to you as well.
Okay, you can bring her on. You can bring her on.
Okay, we were at the Passover in March, and you took a picture with her.
Okay.
Her name is, here, say something.
My name is Joey. My name is Chloe, and I'm 6 now.
Yeah, I remember you. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
I got a lucky dog.
You're blessed by the best, right? All right. All right.
You're blessed by the best. What's his name?
Aka.
His name is Aka.
Hi, Erica.
All right. Bless you. I'll see you at the next Passover. Shalom. Bless you.
Shalom.
All right. Thank you, Elder. Shalom.
All right.
I like to go to church, you know.
Yeah, you like to go to church, you know, that's good. See that? See how our children going to grow up with no holy days, no holidays, no pagan days, following the holy days of the Most High, no eating shrimp, crab, lobster, learning the laws of the Most High. That's where it began. And that's what the brother was saying, family structure. And that's why this world has targeted the family structure, have worked to destroy the family structure. And that's the greatest weapon. Okay, that's the greatest weapon against the sinners that are produced against us, is the family itself. The family structure staying in place is the greatest weapon, the spiritual weapon against what's established, what's set up against our people, the children of Israel, the children of the Bible. The family structure is the first line of defense for us. Great point. We only have a few more. We went well past the time. From now on, we're going to stick with our 2-hour broadcast. But, you know, it's been one of these shows in which we just had to talk it out and discuss this. Okay, so let's see. 216 area code. We're only going to take a few more calls, then wish you all Godspeed. 216 area code. Shalom. We're live. You're live on Blog Talk. Well, you're live through Gathering of Christ Church.
Hello?
Podcast. Shalom. You're live.
Hello?
Shalom. You're live.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, how we doing? Yes?
Elder Tarek?
This is, I think,
hello?
Okay.
Hold on 2 seconds, brother.
Don't worry about
Let's see here what's going on. Give us.
Don't worry about it. We're going to the next one. I'll grab him in a couple of minutes.
While you're going to the next one, I got a message from Elder Gaja in Jamaica to give a shout out to the church down in JA.
Shalom to the church in Jamaica. Were they listening? They looking?
They're listening in, yeah.
Shalom. Stay strong, brothers in Jamaica. You brothers and sisters in Jamaica, we are coming there soon, okay? I know we have the Australia thing coming up and a lot of different works where God is going to Australia for this debate against this Gentile gatekeeper. And, you know, the gate's going to come tumbling down once Elder Gaja get there. But I wish I could be there. But shalom to our brothers and sisters in Jamaica. All right. We'll see you soon enough. Let's take a few more calls. We only have a few more on hold. 404 area code. Can you take the call for me?
Mm-hmm.
Shalom. You're live on Blog Talk.
Shalom.
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 You're live.
Yes, I just wanted to comment listening in on some of the things you said about molestation and things like that. And I think it's very useful that we reach out as much as we can to the young children who are going through things, because many times people only see the trouble, they don't see the problem. And so we can harden ourselves to the radical behavior of kids sometimes, not realizing that it's a cry for help. And I mean, what you're doing is great for us. All the things you're setting up regarding helping people in these positions, or who've gone through these things, or children that are in these positions going through these things. It's not just helpful to them, those of us who know people or have witnessed these things or even experienced it. I just wanted to say thank you for that and ask a question if possible.
Okay.
My question is regarding these kind of things where immorality, these acts take place, for molestation and even rape. My question is, what kind of spirit is at work if somebody keeps going through these kind of situations or finding themselves in positions where I guess those kind of things can happen? Is there a spirit at work? What is the spiritual perspective of it?
Okay. Elder just came back. If you don't mind, sister, just repeat the question.
Repeat that again, sister.
Okay. And let's say a scenario where someone keeps going through these kinds of things, or just people keep going through these situations. Like, let's say someone was molested, or someone keeps finding themselves in positions where this can take place. What is the spiritual outlook of that? What would you say is at work how do we identify these scenarios?
Okay, you say,
what would you call that?
Okay, so you're saying someone keep finding themselves in a position or in a place, finding themselves in a place to be victimized. Like what is that, or what can be done about it? Is what you're asking?
But how would you refer to that? Now, I don't even maybe into adulthood even. Like, what kind of situation is that spiritually? What is that?
Well, sister, I know right now you're speaking ambiguous, but what you would have to do is come straight out with what it is, because I'm sure you're speaking in mind.
Okay.
Specifically of something in mind here.
Okay, like if you go somewhere and you find yourself around weirdos constantly, you keep finding yourself in positions with people who don't mean you well, that are sick in the head. Is that a spiritual thing, or what is that? How?
But how
you combat that?
I'm saying, but see, how am I to define what you're speaking of in specific? What is sick in the head? What are you talking about?
Okay, direct then. I know someone who was molested, and as they grew into adulthood, they found themselves in a situation where other things can take place around predators. They find themselves being around predators. It's almost like that's what I guess is drawn to them, or I'm not explaining.
Well, yeah, it's just sister. Now I understand what you're talking about. Okay, now I understand. Okay, people that have been victimized find themselves in those circles now after going through that, and you would think that after being victimized, someone would that environment would actually be a deterrent, but actually they find themselves in those same positions perpetually, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now the question comes down to, how old were they when it happened? Let me give you that first. Let me ask you that first.
The person was too young to remember.
Huh?
The person was too young to remember, and there was no actual. They didn't meet their goal. It was a failed attempt.
Okay. So the child.
And then the other time,
the child was too young to remember. The child was too young to remember. It was male or female?
Female.
Okay. When did she tell her parents?
She told her parents when it happened. The man was persecuted and put in prison.
Okay.
But then she had two other attempts later in life. One was she was drugged, and the second time, the last time she was drugged, and then before that, it was forced.
Okay.
Adulthood.
Okay, so the last time she was drugged, so she find herself in an environment being vulnerable, right?
Yes, being vulnerable. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that comes into the point of like all women, or men in particular, understanding their environment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why do she keep doing this? I don't know the ins and outs of her life to say what leads her there. No, listen to what I'm saying. I don't know the ins and outs of her life to discuss what leads her there. But all in all, you understand, everyone should have a protective mechanism to understand right from wrong and where danger lies. Some of us don't believe that there's any danger, or that nothing is going to happen to us. And that's just this carelessness. If you're asking me to define or point out what that spirit is, I would have to see the scenario, understand the scenario to say that, okay, this is a cycle. But I don't believe that's a cycle, what happened to her as a child.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's a cycle based on what happened to her as a child. Because why? That wasn't her fault. She was just being a child. You understand? It was the victimizer's fault there. So that's still, to some degree, bringing it back to where the victimizers are more so looked upon. I mean, the victims are more so magnified than the victimizers. You understand? She was just being a child. She didn't do anything wrong. Someone victimized her. And maybe she's innocent. She have that innocent mind where she don't realize where danger is. And others, the children of wickedness, the children of darkness, have more wisdom than the children of light. And if you're walking around naive, you're going to be taken advantage of. Okay? So she just needs people who can see in her corner to protect her, because why? She's vulnerable. And you're going to have people like that. And you know what? It's not her fault. The community are supposed to be protecting people like that. People that can't protect themselves. That's where leaders come in. That's where the men come in at. To be there, be the gates for them. Okay? Because we're going to have vulnerable and impressionable people who can be taken advantage of. But other nations have mechanisms in place to protect the vulnerable. Like I'm going to give an example real quick, right? Since you're on, and this is going someplace else, right? There's a thing called affinity fraud, right? Affinity fraud is when you purposely target a specific vulnerable group and you steal money and finances from these people, knowing that they're vulnerable. It's called affinity fraud. Well, there was this white guy, right, not too far from here, Philadelphia, who was homeless, right? And there was a case from New Jersey to Philadelphia where this poor white guy was homeless. He had some family members or people who knew him set up a GoFundMe and end up getting upward near $1 million on this poor white guy that was homeless, where they end up spending the money on themselves. And don't you know that the news got involved and they end up charging these people, and these white people are going to jail for taking advantage of a poor person who couldn't protect himself? So they have what you would call mechanisms in place to protect the most vulnerable of their people, even the homeless. But yet, look at our people. We have a guy running around talking about he's going to build a school and going around the whole world talking about building a school, knowing he ain't building nothing. And it got upward of over $1 million online, as well as P.O. box, and haven't built anything. Playing on the most impressionable, vulnerable people of our society, who are black single women with children. Okay? And it got upward of $1 million. And since 2010, he still's running around just collecting money, just speaking on all types of things, and never explaining what he's done with all that money that he's gotten from the black poor community. That's because there's no gates or protection for our people. But I wanted to use what you were saying as an example, sister. As an example, we more so look at the victim and say, well, why do they keep finding themselves in that place? And that's how we view things. When there should be a protection mechanism in place for people vulnerable within our communities, where a person can be vulnerable and still have protection. That's why the Lord gave us law, statutes, and commandments in the Bible, because it applies to the most vulnerable as well as the strong. The weak as well as the strong is protected under the laws of the Bible. You understand? I hear people say all the time, I keep finding myself in this same place being victimized, when really there should be a system put in place for the vulnerable. Okay, I wanted to put that out there. All right?
All right.
All right, thank you. Someone say they couldn't convict him in court. That wasn't a trial he was under for incarceration. It was about him running around saying he's something he's not, and then putting on record him perjuring himself for the future. But anyway, I wanted to put that out as a perfect example. Because we don't have no status quo as far as law, statutes, and commandments, You can get these guys running around with all these affinity frauds, taking advantage of the impressionable or the vulnerable amongst our people. And that guy, so-called, he's not even a doctor, Umar Johnson, whatever. He's the perfect example of that.
What you mean?
Let's get here next. We're almost done. I could take 2 more phone calls here. 574 area code. That will be our last call for this evening. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, sister. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. You're our last call for this evening.
Okay. How y'all doing?
Blessed by the best.
Good. I was listening to the call for a little while, but I was the children sin produced. I don't know where to start. Well, anyways, I know I used to kind of like hang around gay people back in the day. And
okay, hold up.
And it was kind of like it was kind of.
Hold up, sister. Hold up. We need to focus on that real quick. You said you used to hang around gay people back in the day. Why? Because this is some key points. Right. There's some key points we need to bring out for those who probably hang out with gay people now. Why were you hanging out with gay people?
Right. First of all, I have them in my family. And but when I was in school for high school is when it kind of started. But I didn't. I don't know. It's hard to explain that. But anyways, it was only a few people that I would let in my around me because I used to fight all the time. And I think the reason that they wanted to hang around me is because I know if a person was my friend, that I would have, whatever, couldn't nobody mess with them. So, like when the gay people was gay when I was in high school, because I'm like in my 50s, it was a shame, or like, they would be like kind of in the closet. And then, it'd be some people that knew.
Do me a favor, sister. Anything
hang around me then, but then when I moved back
sister,
to St. Louis.
Sister, anything in your background, mute anything in your background if you have anything coming from your background, okay?
Yeah, but can you hear me better? I think it's just my phone.
Okay, you good now.
Okay. But yeah, I think they wanted to be around me because I would take up for them, because people would, like ridicule them and everything. And then I would have their back. But then when I became an adult and I had moved back to St. Louis and there was some people that stayed down the street from me and we was kind of cool. And I know that, back then they say birds of a feather all flock together, but I was never like that. But when I stopped actually hanging or like when I kind of like changed about it is when I seen the two guys, and it was a couple that used to come over here that was married, and the guy was going behind the lady's back, messing with her husband. So that kind of like made me mad because I know that she was a female like I'm a female, and I'm thinking like she need to know, but she did not know what was going on until I told her what was going on. And then that's when I kind of like stopped hanging around them because I know that they hang around certain people, to either to act more like, to see, or either to act more like a woman, or maybe it might be some guys that might be around you that they wanted or try to get or something like that. But I did used to hang around them, but I did stop. And
okay, hold on. Let's backtrack real quick. Let's backtrack. Okay, we good because. Maybe this is a good a good scenario to end the show with. You said you hang around them because they were cool. And was these dudes or was these girls trying to be guys? What type of vibration?
Oh, they was men.
Okay.
No, they was men.
So
it was men. I definitely wouldn't have hung around a girl.
Oh, okay. So you was operating around some sodomites, some men sodomitish type activity. And okay, and you said
Yes.
and you say they were cool. What do you mean by that?
Well, I thought they was cool then, because like back then, because it wasn't right out in the open. You couldn't be. It was a shame. You know what I'm saying? Like now, it's just out in the open. But back then, it was a shame. Because I used to actually, before that, I used to see a couple of guys that used to dress like women, but they looked crazy. But I was little then. And they would,
I'm
walk
still,
down the
I'm
street
still
with
stuck
a
on,
brother.
sister. I'm still stuck on the cool part. They were cool. What do you mean by that?
No, yeah, I thought they was cool, but then when I figured out what they was doing, they wanted to be around us because of the people that we would have around us. So a couple met them through me and my friend, and one of them started messing with her husband, and I really didn't like that, and I told him that I was gonna tell her if they didn't stop messing around. So I ended up telling
Hold up, sister. You know what? This is the perfect phone call to end this broadcast. Stick with me right now. I mean, this is the cherry on the top, isn't it? Listen to this now. We were talking about earlier. Sister, just hold that. Just hold tight. Let's breathe real quick. We were talking about how sin abounds and how it's excused throughout our community. You hanging out, now I'm not blaming you, but I'm saying there's something that needs to be magnified and pinpointed and actually understood concerning this spirit. You knew that there was two nasty dudes running around, unrepentant sodomites that you were cool with, but the only problem you had is that one end up dealing with a down low dude that was married to your friend, and then you having an allegiance with them didn't say, you know what, you're out of the pocket, brother, and I'm going to tell her right now. Your allegiance was with the evildoers and say, well, listen, stop messing around with her behind her back, knowing that they can probably have any type of disease or whatever, or I'm going to tell her. So the allegiance was with the wickedness opposed to telling the vulnerable and righteous. So we need to actually magnify and understand that spirit, right? Because what you're saying is what you used to do, but what's happening within our communities at an epidemic level right now. What is that mindset that protect the victimizers and not tell the person that's being victimized? Let's identify that.
Okay. I think okay. I did tell her. I told. Can you hear me? Hello?
Sister, stick with me.
Can you hear me?
Sister, because you said you said that stop messing around or I'm going to tell on you.
Okay. Yeah, okay, this is the way it went, okay? I told the guy when I found out, because I didn't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sister, but I'm muting to make sure that there's no interference. But I can hear you. Just bring it out.
Okay. No, okay, here's the deal. Okay, we all used to hang around. I thought they were cool. I thought they were cool. Okay, then when I seen that he wanted the friend's husband, I didn't know they was messing around in the beginning, but when I found out, I told him that he needed to stop or I was going to tell her. But I did tell her, but I didn't tell her like in the front of him. I called her up and told her, and that's what really broke up why I stopped really, messing around with them, because actually they got mad, because then I guess they labeled me as, a tattler or whatever. I wasn't going along with it. I mean, at the time, like I said, back then, it was like taboo. I mean, people wasn't, they wasn't coming out like they are out now. Okay, so back then it was like they had got up in age where they had their own place, so they was doing what they wanted to do. But I mean, they wouldn't do that around their mother or anything. So I'm saying it was like a shame for them to be like that, because gay people just wasn't out like that. They were still in the closet. I mean, when they were older. But when he started messing with the girl's husband, I didn't know it in the beginning. But when I found out, that's when I let him know that I was going to tell her if they didn't stop. I even told her husband that. So they did not stop. So then me and my friend Connie, we just, told the wife, and then that's what broke up our friendship. Or it wasn't a friendship really anyway, but that's that's what broke us up broke me up from being around them, because then I knew that they were deceitful. I knew they were deceitful, but I would never think that they would have done that with us, because we were supposed to be their friends.
Friend.
So that's just the way it went.
Okay. Boy, this can be a show by itself. I mean, this can actually be a show. But sister, listen to this. I'm still trying to figure out, outside of him dealing with another download dude that so happened to be a sodomite too, and that's an issue in our community, where these sodomites are actually linking in with sisters and all that. Okay, because they recognize a sodomite. Those sodomites recognize another sodomite. Okay. And it probably wasn't no surprise to her either, to tell you the truth. But let me say this to you, sister. I'm still trying to figure out why it took that for you to understand that these two sodomites weren't cool. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Why did it take that?
I mean, I knew they wasn't. I know.
Sister, listen. Listen. I'm not judging you, but I'm trying to figure the mindset based on the topic of discussion. What's the mindset that's around our sisters that hang around with these sodomites? Because they hang around with them all the time, on clubs and all that. So there's an appeal there. There's an attraction there. There's something there that I will never understand, that I'm trying to understand from someone who's actually walked that walk. What is it about sisters that like to hang out with sodomite dudes? What is it we're missing?
Real quick.
Let her answer that.
I don't know, because I knew something was wrong with them from the beginning. But I knew something was wrong with them from the beginning. But they want to be like you, they want to be like the woman. So, I mean, to me, it was looking ridiculous for them to even want to, they didn't dress up like a woman, but
it ain't gonna happen.
Just to think they was a woman for real, the way they would talk and stuff, I would be laughing at them for real. But
okay, that's what it is. They were entertaining to you.
Someone had said it in the comments that laughing.
Yeah, but they was kind of. But the whole is the reason they want to be around you is because you be around. We would have different males and stuff around us, and then they want to play like they the cool sister or whatever.
Lord have mercy.
And all the time they zeroing in on which one of them they trying to get, I guess, because
hey, sister,
I know even another time, because I'm
real quick. I mean,
I work with one.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay. And
hello, sister. Can you hear me?
All right, we're gonna put you on hold, sister. 1 second. I gotta get myself together here.
I mean, the responses. I mean, I'm hearing it different, but I think I'm hearing it correctly. Am I the only one who's hearing why they wanted to hang around as opposed to why she was hanging around them?
Yeah.
She never actually got the answer as to why she wanted to.
I think you touched on it at the very end, that it's kind of funny seeing dudes trying to act like women,
right?
And they laughing and making jokes, and while you playing around with these sodomites, they're destroying our community, our children, and our families at the core. and there's nothing funny, you know what? They'll let you laugh at them.
Right.
But according to Romans, the 1st chapter, they will have the last laugh.
Right.
They will destroy something. So they'll act like that and all that just to endear themselves so that you can just let down all your guard. And guess what? These sodomites are keen, sharp, and guess what? They are persistent. And whatever they're looking to destroy, take, molest, guess what? It will be stolen, taken, molested, folks. That's another thing. Our sisters can't be running around with these silly men trying to act like as if these people are not perverse weapons against our society, folks. And this is guess what hasn't been said here? I bet you there were children in that relationship that are affected from what happened till this day. There's children that was a part of that relationship that she spoke of that are still affected from what happened with that husband and wife being separated and through this sodomite imposition. And and that's why I wanted to end with that particular show. A perfect ending to a show to show you how we excuse sin and play games with evil. And I'm not blaming her because obviously, she know better now. But I wanted to use what she had to say for an example. Okay. They are allowed to do this because why? We allow it.
Thank you.
It's what we allow. This ain't no game. This ain't no playing. We're operating. These people got serious demons on them. It's nothing to laugh about, nothing to joke about. And the first time, you know what? They would, yeah, girl. They sit there with wine and pouring wine in your cup. And guess what? Get you nice and drunk. And they'll put a cover over you and go upstairs and rape every little boy in your house. Go ahead. What you had to say, Shapat, before we bow out?
Just, highlighting the fact that the reason, and someone had mentioned it in the comments, and the sister did, like you mentioned, briefly touch on it.
Yeah.
The reason why she would hang around sodomites was to be entertained.
Exactly.
But like you mentioned, know and understand, and here's proof of this, that the majority, I'm being politically correct here by saying the majority, really all sodomites, this is their agenda. They don't care that you will be laughing at them and all this and the other, because really you're the laughing stock. You're the stupid one. The joke is on you, sisters, for allowing these sodomites around your space and around your family and around children.
I'm gonna tell you, I ain't playing no game around no sodomites. I don't care if they 2 guys, 2 girls. They know you can't hang out with me. You can't be around me. You can repent. You can repent of your sins, and if you will do, I'll dap you, shalom. You ready to put on some fringes? You ready to marry a woman? You ready to get yourself together? Ain't nothing funny about the spirit or the demon that's in you. The same thing with 2 women running around. You're not a guy. I don't care what pants you put on or what type of straps you put on the top of your breast to try to hold your breast in. You are a woman. And what's up with you have beautiful women going out with these butch type women dyke type deals. I'm gonna tell you, brothers and sisters, and not only that, they're grown folk. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. But the topic of discussion is, how is all of this affecting our children? How is it affecting our children? The children sin produce is the name of the show. What do children think's right? The children believe what's right. It's anything the parent agrees with. The children sin produces is the generation we now reside in. The Lord help us all. With that, I'm going to say shalom, stay strong, stay prayed up, and sin not. Of course, we have our academy this weekend. This coming Sunday, we're either going to deal with breaking down Revelation and the spirit of the book of Revelation in the end time based on that. Either way, we're going to either do it that way or Daniel's, the 70 weeks of Daniel. We either do the 70 weeks this week or the last week. We're still working out either one because Elder Lawyer and myself is working on that particular topic, okay, together. But if you want to be a part of that, we only have 2 weeks of this academy, so you can be a part of it if you would like. But we would like you to enroll in our December 23rd academy. It helps with the work. And guess what? It's more information that you'll learn in one lesson. I guarantee you, if you've never been in the academy or any of our lessons, I guarantee you, you'll have more learning in one lesson the first week than all of the years you've learned under a Christian church or any other religion. And I guarantee you, and that's only 1 week, and we have 12 of them. Okay? We would like you to help us with this. We would like you to send an email, gatheringas1@aol.com. Send in your donations to help with our headquarters that's going to be up by the 1st of January. We'll also like you to make sure you go to historytimes.org to enroll. If you have a card or whatever, you can use your card there. Or you can go to gatheringofchrist.org. Visit us there. We have a lot of information. And we're even working on a frequently asked questions segment where there's clips based on certain questions you might have concerning any topic, and those clips would normally answer those questions. I was speaking to Elder Lawyer today. We're trying to roll that out. Also, we'll have that on the main webpage, gatheringofchrist.org, as well as small clips, a playlist for frequently asked questions that will be on our main YouTube page. You can like, share, subscribe, and hey, we're the Gathering of Christ Church, here to bring the kingdom of heaven in the name of Ahia, Bahashim Yeshaya, where we walk. And brothers and sisters, stay prayed up and sin not. And guess what, brothers and sisters? I want to say above all, protect the next generation. Protect our children. Shalom.
Are you seeking to strengthen your biblical foundation? Join us in the Hebrew Bible Academy, where we offer 12 weeks of in-depth learning in a structured environment. Receive real-time news from Brother Shapat and amazing lessons by Elder Ricard. Learn ancient Hebrew with Elder Lawyer. With 12 amazing lessons, you're guaranteed to learn more about your true biblical history and authentic Hebrew language than you would in a traditional Christian church. For only a one-time payment of $150 or 3 monthly payments of $50. Join us at historytimes.org and sign up today. It's not too late. See you in the academy.